Hello, friends. Welcome back. It is that time of the week. It is time for drama and tea. And finding out consequences and discovering what interesting things are happening in Spain in 1809. And so many things, so many things. But we are going to go around and let everyone tell you all the fabulous things about who they are and where you, who they're playing, all that good stuff. And we're going to start to my left on the overlay with my very dear friend, Anino. Well, no. Right on the overlay with my very dear friend, Anino. Sorry, I can't say words today.
Yeah, it was very unusual. Hi, everyone. My name is Nino. I use he, him pronouns. And my main character in this show is Cleveland Griffiths, the Master Sergeant farrier who looks after horses and his own entertainment.
Yes, the Master Sergeant Griffiths, who was unfortunately not, suffered some medical maladies last session. But I'm sure with, the care of his charming family and the medical assistance, he will recover fully. But next up, hey Jim, hi, welcome. Speaking of medical assistance.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I've been awake for a long time today, so I hopefully I'll be entirely here, but we'll see what happens. I'm Jim. I use he him pronouns, and I am this evening playing Major Fletcher Spaulding, a surgeon for the regiment who is had to put together an impromptu surgery location last time, as it seemed people had the terrible taste to shoot at us while we were at a party. It's very gauche of them to go out firing guns above their station, but there we are. Tonight's tea that I am drinking is apparently something with a moose on it. But no, that aside, it's but that which the drink contains this evening is a tangerine orange thing from Celestial Seasonings, I believe the place is called. And it's probably going to be tag teaming this evening with Darjeeling, which I also have going over there, because sometimes one can just never have enough.
And we shall see that Jim will continue not to get any sleep thanks to the caffeine in his black tea.
It's a meme. I just don't get any sleep. That's just how it happens. Anino, what tea are you drinking tonight? Are you drinking tea tonight?
I am drinking silver needle tea. It's a white tea, which is processed very differently from other types of tea.
Mm-hmm. And requires a different temperature with which to steep at, so you don't burn the leaves and scorch your tea. But next up, my dear friend, hey Trooper, hi, how you doing?
Hello. Hi, I'm Trooper SJP, and I am playing Lieutenant Henry Valentine, farm boy and former rifleman who has been promoted from the ranks and is now a lieutenant in the House Guards, a sort of a very important cavalry regiment, very fancy, very expensive uniforms, and he has all of the social skills, for some definitions of the word all, special definitions of the word all.
I think the special definitions are for the definitions of social skills.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I was thinking none would be like an alternate definition of all that could also work there, was what I was thinking. Also, I'm going to miss my captain. Oh, captain, my captain, who's not here today. I'm drinking my black cherry berry in my adult sippy cup for my mustache. And I am very excited for Master Sergeant Griffiths to be sort of brought into the loving bosom of his sister. If that happens today, I mean, if it doesn't, it doesn't. But if it does, then, you know, I have a scarf. And I know that he loves his sister very much. And their relationship is very good and healthy and positive. And they're the best of friends. That's all. Wait, Jim, why are you making that face? I just feel like people are just...
I don't know. I just get this feeling, strange feeling.
Let's just cut back briefly to the show last week in which Cleveland Griffiths had the doctor in a death grip.
Yeah.
And simply said, "Do not allow my sister anywhere near me," before he fainted.
I forgot that part. I feel like that didn't happen. Did that happen?
I certainly felt like it happened. And so did my cravat, damn it.
Yes.
Maybe he meant something different by that. Maybe he meant, please
The man
get my
puts another
sister
man's cravat
immediately.
in a death grip. He means it.
Yes, there was apparently a death grip on a cravat. A demand to prevent one's sibling from being informed about one's unconscious nature. A small guest in the appearance of a very charming Frenchman. Apparently a bunch of people tried to kill you, but they escaped in the dark. You only know the name of one of them. You are aware that he was a French officer on parole, but there were at least 2 others that you know about. 4 horses you heard, and other things that happened in the dark. But
I don't know. I was unconscious. I was unconscious for that, so I don't know.
A majority of them escaped in the dark. We do still have one.
There can be only one.
No, they all escaped. Well, no.
Who's at the fountain then?
No, the gentleman. You're correct. The gentleman in the fountain. Although he's alive. That's about all we can say about that particular gentleman in the fountain at the moment. Yes.
Point of order. I feel like he's no gentleman. I feel like a bunch of skullduggery and murderizing is not particularly gentlemanly. Now, I am not expert on gentlemanly behavior, clearly, because people might have seen me at the dance, at the soiree. However, I still feel like skullduggery is not gentlemanly. That's all.
Yeah, but again, you've already proven that you don't really have any knowledge about gentlemanly behavior, so just gonna leave that one there.
That's fair. That's fair.
But we are going to wind the clock forward at least a few hours. A good rest of the nap, kind of sort. Face. Yeah, well, you know, these things happen. And we're going to move forward to the next day, where our players are recovering. Unfortunately, our captain will not be able to join us. They are, well, for our purposes, recovering very much in a, you know,
They're probably
private
sorting
jet.
out feelings.
Well, there's
There's
that.
a lot of feelings to be sorted out.
There is. There are feelings, emotions, possibilities of getting drunk with which to deal with their emotions, and unconsciousness, as well as, you know, concussions, those kind of things.
Feelings. Nothing more than feelings. That's all.
And we will not get DMCA'd for that. But I would like to start with the next day with an image. And this is the image we open with. The new hospital tent has been put up. And a kind of side tent has been added, particularly for the gentlemen who were recovered from the, you know, home of Don Francisco Serrano. a little side tent so that one could, ensure both the safety of these particular individuals as well as their medical treatment. However, you would know that the captain had kind of awoken earlier and requested to be back in their own tent, and Captain Bisley has retreated to his tent to kind of, brood moodily and recover from his concussion and such things. But currently still under your care, Doctor, you have Lieutenant Valentine, Sergeant Griffiths, Major Holmes had been brought with you. He has since regained consciousness, but is very in and out. You're pretty sure he will be recovering under your auspices for a while. Also, because of the way things worked, Francisco chose to remain in his villa, and your new friend, the Chef de Bataillon, words in my head, who I totally remember the character, Antoine de Laurent, and your French friend also was billeted at the villa for right now. To recover from the gaping slash wound across his chest, among other things. But you hear a sound, Doctor, pierce the quiet, well, not quiet, it is a bustling, military camp. You hear the sounds of troops being called to order, you hear drills, you hear people moving about, you hear the sounds of wagons and cannons being pulled, you hear sounds of horses in movement, and then you hear the shrill sound of a lady's voice approaching much, much closer. Repeatedly.
So this is a new hospital tent, yes?
Yeah, this is the little side. So you have your new hospital tent. They tried to recreate the scandal alcove as best they could, but it wasn't 100%. Apparently one of your, the fire and explosion unfortunately destroyed one of your crystal decanters. Will have to be replaced. But this is the little...
Sacrifices we must make.
There's a little side tent they've put on, perpendicular. So if, this is the main tent, they put one here for all the people that were injured, damaged, broken, wounded in the, altercation at Francisco's villa.
Okay.
And you hear approaching the shrill concern of a sister for her brother.
Is this tent connected to any other tents?
Just the regular hospital tent.
Okay. I have another question, because this rather has to do, this involves a piece of information I would by now have. When they fished the invader out of the fountain, and I attempted to treat said invader.
Yes.
Did I get a sense of where they? Well, and we then took the mask off the invader and perhaps regarded whether or not this person had a face.
They did have a face.
Was it Old Man Jenkins?
It was not Old Man Jenkins. It has never been Old Man Jenkins. Why does anyone ever think that it's Old Man Jenkins?
Because I thought he was going to try to scare us off, with pretending to be a ghost.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Old Man Jenkins is on Hanna-Barbera's payroll. He wouldn't have done it. They don't make it out to these parts.
This is all fair. You did remove the mask. You did recover the gentleman. You do not particularly recognize him, but you are pretty sure that the gentleman is you're not sure. You don't know him. You don't know where he's currently under guard. You don't really have a name for him yet. He is still, unconscious. Things like falling from 15 feet and cracking your skull and landing in a fountain are problematic.
This is fair.
Say. And I'm... yeah, here we go.
Underguard also in... Mm-hmm.
You are pretty sure that the gentleman is, well, English. Let's put it that way.
Okay. You say this person is under guard, is that also in this tent, or is that in a separate tent?
He is also in this tent under guard.
Excellent. Good. Okay.
But, still unconscious. Basically, everyone who wasn't, everyone who looked like they could be a British officer was requested to be removed by authorities from Francisco's villa.
So basically, I'm going to be heading to the front of the tent, to prepare to greet the to appear and greet the person who is attempting to break the order that I've placed to not allow anyone in.
As you do, you get to the front of the tent just in time to see the fabulously attired and always appropriately presented Mrs. Priscilla Quibble.
Good morning, my dear lady.
Doctor, you must let me see my brother. He's been injured. I can't have that.
Oh, I do know this must be rather a difficult time as such. It is most distressing. I do understand. But I'm afraid that I can't let anyone in.
But why not?
Well, among other things, it's a matter of security, my dear lady. We're keeping a gentleman under guard in here.
Really? Well,
Oh, indeed.
I would leave, even though it pains me so. But if I knew a little bit about this gentleman who is being held, who is it?
You sort of lean forward. I'd like to know that as well, I'm afraid, but we're not, I'm afraid, not privy to that at the moment. It's a matter of, rather official secrets. Afraid we can't do anything.
Well,
I feel like this is an intrigue.
not yet. Not yet. We're on our way there, perhaps. Well, sometimes a woman's touch can get some sort of gentleman to speak. Not in a scandalous way, of course, because I'm quite proper. But if you wanted someone to speak to this gentleman, somewhat in an exciting incognito or just on the way sort of a way, I could certainly speak to him, and I could bring him tea. And then while I'm giving him tea, in a very dramatic way, I could ask him questions, and then we could find out the secrets.
It's actually quite fascinating. There have been some things that have been studied of late that about regarding the bedside manner, and as there's certain folks have been looking into from time to time. It is quite interesting what's been going around about the medical journals of late. Do you know that? And it's quite an amusing thing, but it seems they've made a determination that it doesn't, as long as the one does the appropriate things to care for one's patients, the disposition of the individual's of the carer's gender makes not a single bit of difference.
My dearest doctor, this is not about care. This is about excitement.
I dare say these fellows have had excitement enough.
Well,
What they need actually is rather the opposite, an utter lack of excitement.
but
They need a chance to recover calmly.
Isn't this a villain?
Well, the villain's not the only one in the tent.
Well, but presumably the villain's the only reason why I can't go in there to see my dearest brother.
Oh, not indeed the only reason. It is I simply stated it was a reason. Would you like further reasons? I shall be happy to supply them.
Well, I should like to know these reasons why I, a devoted sister and best friend of my dearest brother, my only living brother, my dearest, most beloved brother, would not be able to see him and hold his hand and to help him recover.
Ah, well, I have two reasons, quite simply. One, he is in a rather delicate state at the moment and requires
What
rest.
Do you mean? What do you mean he's in a delicate state?
And he's in a state in which the only thing for it is rest.
Wait, are you saying that he might? Well, you know.
Well, anyone might, at any given time. But as it is for your brother, I can tell you that he is in recovery. But for that process to take place, he must not have any excitement of any kind. And I dare say that having a relative coming in and presenting themselves, well, that I'm afraid that would be too much at the moment. I know it is most tragic. Here. I assure you, however, he is receiving the best care that we can provide, and we should let you know the moment he is around and receiving visitors.
I need a deception bluff.
I'm not actually lying. I will let her know.
As I have been informed repeatedly, omissions count as lying.
Who tells you these
The moment
things?
he's around and receiving visitors. we'll let her know.
Well, Doctor, if you might, could we step 2 steps that way, away from the tent, just for one moment? Just right over there.
Oh, my dear lady, whose ears do you think is going to reach? They're rather
No,
not in a state.
So we could speak a bit in more private. I mean, I heard the scandal alcove is no more, so you want me to go through the tent, so if we might just step right over there.
And he just sort of glances back and forth. I can but say that I must not leave my post, my dear lady.
Well, you'd only be like 4 steps away from your post. You'd be able to see your post from where we're going. I'm not taking you into some sort of, I don't know, den of iniquity, which apparently you all were at the other night. Just right over there.
Fascinating whether a den of iniquity a mere 4 steps away. That should be quite entertaining. But I'm afraid that should it happen, I shall tell you what. I shall meet you halfway. Thus,
Right.
And I will take a step and a half out.
Doctor, I would like
My dear.
to ask you for a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And here's where we get into our intrigue.
Okay, so now I need both of you to roll status breeding
Right
for
now.
our initiative.
Okie doke. Let's see.
11.
Yeah.
And just so, oof, 25, very nice. So you may say what you wish first, Trooper, but the doctor will have the first action. Also, I'd like to remind everyone your monologue tokens have refreshed. I have 4 resolve tokens. Trooper, you have 2 bonus dice. Jim,
And
you
2
have
resolve.
and 2 resolve. Jim, you have 1 bonus dice and 1 resolve. Anino, you have 3 bonus dice and 1 resolve.
So, good doctor. I know that you're not married, are you? No, you're not. Of course not.
I am.
Oh, you are. I've
Yes.
never seen your wife.
Oh, well, she's well, that's because it's a rather great distance between here and England, I'm afraid.
Oh, that must be very terrible for you to be so far away from your wife.
It is a certain experience.
Well, I don't know if you know the inner soul of the fairer sex. I assume you don't. Let me educate you something on what it's like to be a woman in camp, so far away from the creature comforts of England. It is dreadfully boring. It is dispiriting. It is like being one of England's roses who wilts in the too much heat of Spain and not enough to do. It is like a death. But I'm sure you would not want me to die. As a doctor, medical professional, that is indeed, you save lives. So, I would ask to save my life, to ease my suffering and my burdens of being here, which is in its own way could be exciting, but I never get to have the excitement. So, what I would like to ask you, dearest doctor, minister of health and expert of all things doing with beings and whatnot, let me question this fellow at some point in time when he wakes up. That seems like it'd be awfully fun.
Might I ask you to clarify in particular which fellow?
Oh, the villain.
Oh, the villain.
Yes. I've never had this much excitement. Well, I've never been this close to so much excitement in ages. And to be just a few steps away from... Ooh, I mean, I've heard all sorts of rumors. There was shootings and poisonings and also people falling off of balconies and horses and other things and gambling. And I didn't get to go at all. I didn't have any sort of fun, and it's been dreadful. So wouldn't you let me do something? And I feel like letting me see this villain and question this villain with sort of mysterious ways seems like it would be so much fun, ever so fun. Oh, darling, please. Let me do something interesting, or else I shall just die of ennui.
Huh. Before I respond, before I respond, I need to know what my tools are here.
If
I
you
need
look
to be
at
angling toward.
if you look at your cheat sheet, I will, I feel like I need to let Trooper roll the persuasion convince, but you don't have to give in because technically you have the first action.
I'll wait till my roll until after
Yeah,
he
okay.
goes.
We'll wait till your roll. We'll wait for your roll.
All right.
Your cheat sheet, the first page of the cheat sheet has the rules for intrigue.
Yes.
And we're going to keep this as a relatively simple intrigue. Not going to attack all of your, do a full... But...
Okie doke. So actually, then I guess I'll just respond, and then we'll figure out what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then I'll
we'll-
let you have both one roll. Yep.
Okay. Well, through some, I fear, terrible insight, I do have to state outright, initially, at least, that, the colonel doesn't appear to give me the leeway to question to oversee who questions the prisoners. That said, I wonder if you've a particular interest in this in this particular intrigue. If there's something in particular that I could perhaps, I do have all the greatest sympathy, my dear lady, for your for your state of for the state of your soul, of course. But were there some connection, something that I could bring to others, so that I might perhaps gain an exception to allow the questioning? That could conceivably help things along. Is there something about this particular villain that you have particular suspicions about?
I don't even know who it is. Apparently neither do you.
I fear not. But we've,
I mean, excited to find out.
Have you had the opportunity to, had the opportunity to get out into town at all, if I may ask?
Well, I've gone into town once or twice, but I'm usually very busy, doting on my husband, whom I love very, very much. Bringing him lunches that I sacrifice greatly to make myself. Personally, my status shouldn't be doing that sort of thing, but because I care, I bring him lunch every day and then have a lovely, lovely tea with him. But I must say, that is, I should be, Doctor, I should have been at that ball, or soiree, or din of iniquity, whatever it was. All the things were happening. I should have been there. Don't you think the person of my status, of my breeding, should have been there?
I am actually. It is rather. Shall we say, there are rather specific things that go on there. I shouldn't wonder. It's. I don't know that it would quite live. That ball of that variety would quite live up to what you might have imagined.
Well, I wouldn't know. I never get to go anywhere.
Yes, actually, that is something somewhat concerning. There's some rather fascinating places in the town itself that perhaps you've not had the opportunity to see, and indeed also gathering spots, things of that nature, where perhaps you might have a bit more of a taste of the sort of thing you're looking for.
Doctor, are you flirting with me?
Oh, was I? My dear lady, I wouldn't know. I'm so terrible at it myself. You should just ask my wife, and she can tell you how terrible at it I am.
Well, I certainly wouldn't do that, because I will keep your secret, Doctor, of course. So, as we were saying, you're going to let me go and see that fellow when he wakes up, won't you? We don't need to bother.
Well, provided you're able to give me something of more of a, shall we say, something a bit concrete as to some connection or an interest you might have with this gentleman, then perhaps I could make an excuse to do such.
So I feel like this is a persuasion bargain on behalf of the doctor, and a persuasion convince. Ooh, or is Mrs. Quibble attempting to seduce?
No, if anything, perhaps intimidate. But we will go. we will go with charm, I think. Some convincing.
Some convincing. I feel like that's being convincing.
Yes.
And I feel like the doctor is attempting to bargain. Does that seem correct?
Only a little bit into intimidation.
I'm kind of trying to do a
Blackmail.
multi-layered tiered thing where I'm both bargaining and trying to read her and figure out if she actually has any connection to anything that's going on.
I will let you do the bargain first, and then you can read target.
Okay.
And read target is against Mrs. Quibble's passive deception.
Okay. So let's see. Cunning rank, bargain, bluff. What am I? Which thing am I rolling?
Persuasion bargain.
Persuasion bargain. All right. Persuasion bargain. Let's see.
The influence.
I'm going to use that bonus die.
Alrighty, sir. Using the bonus dice.
He says moments before an anvil falls on his head.
Oh, I don't think that's a problem. Lynette's not here.
Oh, okay. It's Wolf.
12. And Mrs. Quibble, what is that? What is your intrigue defense?
11.
11. So he beats your intrigue defense.
By 1.
By 1. So it's 1 degree of success. But Mrs. Quibble gets to roll her persuasion convince.
What sort of? Oh, are we doing a short one? Yes.
Yes.
Well, let me do a persuasion convince, because I just want a little bit of excitement to see what this fellow was about. And I will also use one of my bonus die, because I feel like that's only fair. 15.
I believe a 15 beats your intrigue defense, sir.
Probably does. Yeah. Yes, it does.
So, because you both beat by 1 degree of success, what's your intrigue defense?
My intrigue defense is 12.
Yeah, so by 1 degree. So by 1 degree, you both beat your intrigue defense. You are willing to fall into this bargain, into this you are willing to be convinced by her, and she is willing to bargain with you at this point. It's not a, that's kind of what's going to happen, but how you get there is you can determine. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that I think that if that Spalding actually does have a little bit of sympathy for her situation, if any of what she has just said is true, so there's so it's like actually it might be interesting to see what happens if we put them in the room together, So it's
Doctor, you can be there the entire time, of course. I would never want to be there by myself with one
right.
sort
Well,
of
I should
villain.
I should say that it may be a question of more than just myself being there, as there are others who may wish to who may need to perform the questioning as well. But
Doctor.
Indeed.
You see, I'm thinking myself that this will be a little bit less of an official sort of thing. Where we're just, I'm coming to perhaps visit my dear brother. I just happen to be in the tent, and then I happen to see this villain, and I happen to find him interesting, and I just happen to chat with him, in a sort of an unofficial sort of fun sort of way, so that no permission needs to be needed or anything like that. Just sort of like while I'm just on my way in there anyway. And I imagine, as you've said, that he's not really ready to be questioned by anyone. So it's not like I need to be there now, but wouldn't that be sort of clandestine and exciting? And of course, he would be there, and there would be no impropriety in any sort of way, but no permission would need to happen. It wouldn't be official in any sort of way, just sort of a bit of fun. And after all, I might be of use. And if I'm able to find out something interesting that brutal sort of interrogators who, I don't know what you do, beat people with, perhaps your sort of dashing interrogators beating people with what do you beat people with? I don't know. Anyway, but you'd have like sort of strong muscles, and they would come in and they'd just sort of beat prisoners in some sort of terrible way. And I imagine that's would be one way of getting information, but I would have a different way of getting information. And anyway, the point is, if I could get this sort of information, then we might be able to clear up this whole sort of bother, couldn't we? And then everything would be all right.
I should think that I actually have a similar mind on the subject as it happens. I shouldn't in fact wonder about some observations you might have regarding certain goings on. Perhaps we could discuss it at length at a later time.
Oh, Doctor, you are just so cheeky. Of course. I mean, only the most appropriate way. But I would agree to have a civilized sort of meal or beverage or something along those lines, and then we could... you travel much, don't you?
Oh, one tries to get away whenever one can in my line of work.
And you're learned. You read all sorts of journals, and you probably speak with all sorts of interesting people who know all sorts of things.
One tries to get about to as many stations as possible. As it were.
Well, I'm not interested in anything like that at all.
Of course not.
No, I'm not interested in any of that. I'm interested in Spanish lace and dresses and balls and dancing and all that business. But if we had to have some sort of tea, which of course I would do because that's only proper. That's what if I'm being invited to a tea, I certainly couldn't say no. That would be impolite. And if at this tea you were to speak with me about things you've read in journals or I don't know, things you've seen, ideas you've had. I mean, I would be bored out of my mind. I wouldn't want to hear it, but I would listen if I had to listen. If you wanted to tell me such things, like what is it like to do an autopsy? I'm sure you've done those sorts of things. Like what is actually inside of a body? I mean, I'm not interested because that's too gruesome. But if you wanted to tell me, I would listen.
I seem to have an opening at 4:00.
Oh, well, I couldn't say no. So I won't. I'm free. I'm sure my husband will be doing whatever he does. At 4 in the afternoon, I'm sure he'll be busy working. And so I will certainly have free time. I will make sure I have free time. And make sure my brother's alive, because that would be terribly distressing if he died. So no death from my brother. Don't let him die.
Oh, don't worry. I believe he's. I don't believe he'd have the such a lack of decorum as to die at this earlier stage.
Well, if there's one thing I shouldn't say because it's sort of rude. Well, I'll say it because clearly we have such a good working relationship happening. My brother's not known for his decorum, I must say. It's always been a little bit embarrassing, but he has been always bold in his own way. Nonetheless, 4:00, I will bring something delicious to eat, and you bring your brain, and this is so lovely.
I know just the spot. In fact, there's there is a should you as I stated, this is a possibility. We could, of course, do this in camp, but there is a cafe, not very distant, that is remarkable in the teas it provides. Rather quite a range.
You know what? I would love to go to this cafe.
Excellent.
That will show. Anyway, look, I want to clear all this up as much as you do, and I just feel like it's not been going quickly enough. So, anything I can do to help?
It is much appreciated, my dear lady. Well, I'm afraid that often reality cheats us of its imagined excitements, but perhaps we can stir something up.
Oh, and Doctor, sometimes I make a little bit of extra, and if you want, I can just bring you by a little bit of, tea sandwiches, and as you're doing all your difficult work here in the hospital tent.
Oh, I couldn't possibly, my dear lady.
Oh, you could. Of course you could.
Perhaps we shall discuss the matter further. As I do need to check to make sure that one of the folks in there isn't
dying.
Isn't dying. Yes, yes. It would be rather bad taste for him to fall dead at this moment. I just have to check to make sure. Yes, dear Hadley has got an issue with a lung. I need to make certain that it stays inside him.
I will just say, before I go, and just as an observation, as a person who cares very much about fashionable things and all frippery and all that, you do so keep yourself quite clean and well groomed, despite all of the blood that must happen wherever you are. It's very exciting. So I'm just saying, my compliments for being able to keep your cravat so spotless of blood, despite whatever sort of gruesomeness must happen in a surgery tent. I'm going to go and see my husband. Ta-ta. Tonight at 4, this afternoon, at 4. Just
Of course. Ta-ta.
We're gonna pull the camera back and rewind the clock a few minutes and focus in on Cleveland Griffiths as yours have come around and are slowly, becoming comfortable. And then you hear it outside the tent. Your charming sister's voice attempting to enter, expressing her concern for you.
I mean, I feel like some of the conversation that I had with the doctor involved concern for my brother, at least a little bit. There was some.
Yes, the beginning of it. When you were right outside the tent door, which was quite close and could be heard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I want to say that Cleveland was quite awake and recovering reasonably well, as he actually did have a visitor with him in the tent at the time. A certain woman by the name of Adora, who he had met at the soiree. And, when he did hear his sister's voice, he might have pulled the covers over his head a little bit just to maybe hope that things would pass. But that was probably the most tense moment of his life, considering the fact that he had that very spirited ride back to the mansion with the Frenchman on the back of the horse and folks firing bullets at them. So that's pretty much what happened. And when his sister had moved on, he would have visibly relaxed and returned to chatting with his companion.
Yes. Chatting with your companion. And so that's what one camera sees. But we're going to spin from this, Cleveland relaxing and starts chatting with this lovely Spanish lady, ? And the camera pans around the side of the hospital tent where a young gentleman, well, not a gentleman, a young enlisted Mr. Perkins happens to see the very flirtatious, engaged conversation of the doctor and Mrs. Quibble.
Was it flirtatious? Oh my! If he was flirting with me, what can I say about that? I would never ever, because I'm very proper. But did you think he was flirting with me? That's interesting.
I feel as though Perkins is fully convinced that that's exactly what was happening.
Just like to put that out there. And there is another figure who we see start to approach the hospital tent and then turn kind of quizzically at the conversation and walk away. And that, well, both Mrs. Quibble and let's put it this way, Mrs. Quibble, Perkins, and the doctor could all roll me awareness notice to see what they see.
Yep.
One thing I can tell you about dearest Mrs. Perkins, Mrs. Quibble, is that she sees all. Just like in the Rock and Roll Picture Show. She pays attention very much because she's interested in everybody's business. What I mean to say is, she's just very observant. That's all.
The only person who notices is Mrs. Quibble, who happens to see a young lieutenant start to make his way towards the tent, stop, see you and the doctor conversing, look quizzically, turn, walk away, but there's just a slight hitch to his stride, the barest of movements.
Who is this young lieutenant?
Why, Lieutenant Willoughby Ingram.
Oh, has he ever been to any of our... Oh, he has, hasn't he? He is a good friend of my husband.
Are quite good friends.
Oh, well, he didn't go and say hello to me at all. How rude.
But then he kind of turns around a corner and you lose sight of him.
I have a question.
Of course.
How do I feel about this Lieutenant Willoughby Ingram? I mean, he's about quite a bit with my husband. Is he charming? Is he interesting? Does he talk to me? Or is he boring?
He's very polite to you. He's charming but not inappropriate. He respects your husband. He is quite wealthy and well-to-do. His family has estates in Scotland.
I assume his breeding is good.
Quite good, actually. His father's a viscount.
Oh, very nice. That's nice. How is he, by the way, at playing whist?
Quite respectable, actually.
He
and your husband are quite good at whist together. They play on occasion.
Oh, that's nice. Well, I would love to play.
Not as good as Cleveland.
My brother's quite good at whist. Well, I'm so sad he didn't say hello. Bother. Well, I'll just ask the doctor all about the soiree I didn't get invited to tonight. I'm going to go and go back to the quartermaster's tent to have lunch with my husband.
We'll come back to Mrs. Quibble in a moment. But we're going to go back into the medical tent as the camera follows the doctor inside, with Cleveland receiving the loving kind ministrations of Adora. And the good Lieutenant Valentine has started to come around, is a little bit, possibly even sitting upright. The gentleman under guard is quite, he's still unconscious. But as of right now, Doctor, you do not recognize the gentleman. But the floor is yours. Others may not.
Let me actually talk in a way that you can hear me. So is Valentine's coming around? Is that right? Okay. So I'm going to head over. So just sort of grab some water and sort of head over. I see that it seems your cranium is a magnet for attention. I never knew that the top of a man's head could be such a social vortex, but apparently it is.
Did it open up my stitches again, Doctor?
It did. I had to reseal them, I'm afraid.
Everybody keeps saying I've got some sort of concussion. I don't feel concussed.
No. You almost did last night, but it was not an actual concussion. No.
Good. I just feel a little.
I might have. I will say. I will state. I might have dropped the word concussion a time or two just to get us through some difficult moments with some of the rather more dangerous of the individuals we were entertaining last night, prior to the attack of the more physically dangerous. But
what happened?
Yes. Well, and I pull up a chair.
I just went out to go talk to step outside because that Frenchman was just being so, French. And then
Valentine, I'm going to tell you something which I have a suspicion you've not heard quite all that often. You're right.
About what?
The assassins.
It was that woman, wasn't it?
It was not that woman, but it seems that there were at least 4 individuals, quite possibly more, as there were. It's an issue of there's an issue of timing and strategy that perhaps you can help me with here.
All right.
It seems that they had after the house was fired. You recall after the house was fired upon, and we set things up, and
right, there was some sort of a small
surgery,
unit
yes.
Doing some sort of ambush.
Yes, quite. And they had barricaded the front door, as I recall, just after Griffiths made it in, along with our our shall we say temporary friend.
Did you ever find out how big a unit it was that was attacking us?
I don't think there was ever we ever had a sense of how many people. There was something about how many people were firing. It wasn't
under
like
10.
That many. It was under 10. Yeah.
You heard under 10 guns.
Yeah. We didn't have sight of them. I shouldn't wonder if perhaps the 4 horses that were spotted taking off earlier might have gone to fetch them. But it seems that there were, and they would have to have already been inside, 3 individuals who assaulted us on the top floor, knocked you unconscious, and came after us in the those of us who are still in the temporary surgery.
Oh, doctor, that's
Well, we managed to. Well, no, it's not. No, we managed to. 2 of them escaped. We managed to get one of them, who's still in recovery, as he took rather a long dive into Francisco's fountain. I say, gesturing over to the guarded bed.
I go look at him. I don't move. I just sort of check him out.
Could you roll me a cunning memory? You would get 1 bonus dice.
Quibble. She has cunning memory. Some other people are kind of a bit more salt of the earth, and that's less what they do.
Yep.
Let's see. A 10, which is actually really good for me.
A 10 is very respectable for you. You recall, you cannot quite put your finger on it, but you know this person. Not someone you have seen recently, not someone you have seen in years. Maybe 10?
British?
The name's on the tip of your tongue, but you know he served with you in the infantry.
Hold on. That fellow you said is one of the
attackers, yes.
One of the villains?
The assassins.
One of the assassins. I recognize that fellow.
Indeed.
I think so. Maybe not. I'm always messing things up. I'm always getting it wrong. I don't want to.
Well, if we were to speculate, let us move briefly into the realm of fantastical speculation. Where do you reckon you might know him from?
Doctor, I caused so much trouble last night and everything with everything.
Well, thankfully, there's not a waltz for miles right now.
Well, I know. I just meant with the horsemen,
My dear fellow, they attacked us. It's I sincerely doubt any of the blame is yours.
Well, except unless they weren't the same ones. They could have been for a different horseman or something.
Well, that that is the thing, you see. I suspect that the ones who, the horsemen that galloped off couldn't have been any of the assassins inside. Not by my reckoning, at least. I could be wrong, but it seems to me, logistically, that would not have been possible. These would have been individuals who are already at the party.
Well, but the horsemen I saw, who Sergeant Major said weren't important at all, they were leaving from the party.
Oh, quite. But I believe the 3 assassins were in addition to them.
Oh, well, that's a large number of people.
It is rather. It's rather disturbingly large, I'm afraid. It's, well, I mean, there's a possibility, I suppose, some of them might have circled back round, but just given the timing of everything, I have my doubts.
Well, why would they have done that then?
No, exactly. I don't think they would have.
Well,
Lieutenant Valentine,
mm-hmm.
you recall something else from your original expulsion from the building of the villa.
They were shod, that their horses were not, so they were muffled, so they could leave.
That,
silently.
but more importantly, when you were observing the building itself, you noted a couple ways back inside.
Yeah.
One of which was
there was a trellis, and there was also servant entrances.
a trellis that went directly to the second floor
Mm-hmm.
of Bougainvillea.
It was very nice. Whoa. You know, I don't want to. You know, I know I.
Oh, please, you've got the more tactical mind here. Please, let me enlighten me if you would.
Well, I embarrassed my captain by speculating, and I don't want to, you know.
Well, where else can one take the time to speculate than when one is in recovery?
Oh, it's just that. I mean, I know now that I was wrong, and it was being ridiculous and getting my captain in trouble. But when I saw those 4 horsemen leaving, like they were, they were clearly trained, and they weren't just sort of civilian types. They weren't in uniform, but they clearly had training and riding, and they weren't just sort of, you know, dandies running around. You know, they had good discipline to them, and they had their horses sort of their shoes muffled, which seemed real suspicious to me. Plus, of course, they were leaving not in the front but out the back before the party was even over. All sort of what's the word, obscured, like you would do. So it seemed real strange to me. And then they headed out that sort of strange back way, so as not to be seen leaving. I don't know where they were going, but so I thought it was very suspicious, and I thought it would be. I thought it was strange, right? I mean, if I remember, you said somebody was poisoned and all, right?
Yes, that would be Francisco, and actually he's the Holmes is here, right?
Holmes is here. Holmes is in the next bed over. Still
Yeah.
currently asleep, but much better than he was earlier.
Francisco and Holmes over there.
Right, but thing is, when I was told to go home because I'm a, concussion, that was before I knew. I hadn't heard anything about any poison at that point in time. So, but it's entirely possible they'd already been those people poisoned the feller, and then they were making their getaway at that moment. You know, it's entirely possible that they did the poisoning and then they were leaving. But then, so timing wise, I'm just sitting there sort of getting a bit trouble, and that's actually right when we're told to. Oh, that's when I think I get there's trouble going to go and deal with the poisoning, right? So that's when I got told to sort of come with you, because so I feel like timing wise, it could have been the ones who done it and making their escape. And then we go in. I'm outside. There are a couple different ways into that building besides the front way. There you could servants entrance, of course. I was looking at that, the security, because I You look, Doctor. You can't. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. Make fun of me for this one. But I was still worried about you because I felt like somebody's been making sort of attempts on your life, and I wanted to make sure just in case somebody tried to kill you again or something, I could just get in the way. And if I had to, I was thinking that maybe what I'd do was just maybe lurk outside a bit, and if there was some sort of, kerfuffle, somebody trying to stab you or something, I could find my way back in, and just in case, or my captain or something. But I just figured you were a target, so I was trying to figure out best way to get back if I needed to. And there's a servant's entrance which I could take pretty easy, but there was also a trellis which take you up to the second floor. You could get in there that way. But so then I'm hearing gunshots, right? And out unit, small, less than 10, but listening to them, they were trained again. They wasn't just like scatter shot, like just random people just shooting at different times. They clearly had trained so that they were in time. There wasn't gaps or lags right between the shot. So they were clearly some sort of trained soldiers. And I just look right over to the guy like that's in the bed that I said that I sort of recognized, and I just there's like a beat where I think about it, and I come back. Less than 10 though, and I couldn't tell how many mostly because they were so in time, they were so trained. But then the captain, I saw those horsemen outside we were all inside. Remember, we were making the tent and everything, and I saw them with the captain. Is Captain Bisley here?
Not here at the moment. Unfortunately, his duties required him to be elsewhere right now.
Right. Good. He's not injured then. Yeah, but
he was somewhat, but not quite as gravely.
Oh well, but we saw them. In the out there, and at the edge of our vision, right there by the forest. Some of them there lurking again. I don't know if. Here's the thing. I don't think we kept our eyes on them though, right? So they could have been out there, and then circled back around to come and attack us. When I stepped outside.
Ah, I see. I think I take your meaning.
Right. I mean, they were out there lurking, right? And the captain shot at them a few times.
So you think they went out, got perhaps reinforcements and then came back? Because, as you would say, there was certainly more than one firing. They went out, got reinforcements, came back in, and then at that point made their way inside. Having donned masks.
Right.
They were wearing masks, by the way. It was quite entertaining.
Were they? I didn't see them.
No, indeed. No, unfortunately, no. But it's perhaps more fortunately than it could have been. But that said, so we know one of them was a certain French officer currently on parole in town.
Which one?
That would be, he says, consulting his notes. That would be Captain Auclair.
Do I know him? I try to keep up on things. Like I'm a apple polisher. I try to know stuff.
You can roll me warfare strategy or tactics, because I think or cunning memory, one of the two. I feel like this would probably be more warfare.
I try to know military stuff, right? Like I try to like who are our prisoners, what's our logistics, that kind of a thing. Tactics or strategy would you like?
I feel this is more strategy. This is strategy. Knowing your enemy is strategy.
32.
That is ungodly, and I love you for it.
Hey, I don't know how to dance I know how to dance in like bars, but I don't know how to dance in like fancy places. But I'll tell you what I do know. I'm a lieutenant and sort of new, so I study all the things I got to study at least about that sort of a thing.
He is a young captain on parole, French cavalry officer. You remember the name Gervais Auclair because that was a name that Major de Laurent mentioned last night, but it's also a name that piques your mind because you paid attention to who the prisoners of war were. You would know
Who were the four of them? There were four of them. Who were they?
The four of them were Major de Laurent, Captain Gervais Auclair, Captain Jean-Luc Desjardins, and then Lieutenant Thibault d'Ambray. I will write their names for you in the...
What do I know about their capture? You know, like what were they doing on the battlefield? Like, I'm trying to think about like them as combatants, right?
You would know that Lieutenant d'Ambray, Captain Desjardins, and Major de Laurent were all part of the same French cavalry unit that was effectively severely decimated. It was your own cavalry unit that defeated them. Major casualties on both sides, but eventually you guys came out the winners. You would also know that Captain Auclair is from a different cavalry unit. Was from the other side of the pincer movement. It was the other side. Not left wing, but left...
Flank?
Thank you. I was like, wrong term, but you knew what I was thinking. Thank you. He was on the other flank of the battlefield and ended up also being captured. Interesting point that you would probably have heard about Captain Auclair is that his mother is English. And of some rank.
It's a bit of a strange question, but being that I was in that battle, what could I gain from the four of them, their character, based on having sort of been on the battlefield across from them? Their character, their discipline, their carriage on the horse, just like, because I feel like you can really only know a person when you're fighting them with your fists or with horses.
You would have noticed that Lieutenant d'Ambray is a perfectly acceptable lieutenant. You did not engage with Captain Desjardins. He was on the other side of the battlefield, so you never engaged with him. And then Captain Jean-Luc Desjardins, or excuse me, you never engaged with Auclair because he was on the other side of the battlefield. But Desjardins, it was a very fierce fighter, very loyal, very competent, good at what he does, been there for a while, dedicated. There was a moment on the battlefield where he seemed to lose his discipline and become much more aggressive and violent in attacking, and it was that loss of control that actually overwhelmed him. He rode out further than the rest of his unit, broke line, went further and faster, and seemed almost intentionally going after a person in your unit, riding for a specific individual, now that you think about it.
Does have a sense who?
You would sense that it was Lieutenant Pomeroy. Or Captain Pomeroy, I should say.
Huh.
Not Lieutenant, Captain. You would have noticed Major de Laurent. So there you are. There are their names for you. You would have noticed that Major de Laurent is a brilliant tactical mind. And was not engaged in direct combat with you at the moment for most of the battle, seemed to be directing from above, but not in a way that would ever give the impression it was from cowardice or sacrifice of his men, but purely because he is that good a tactical mind. He's playing chess with a battlefield. Captain Gervais Auclair. I forgot his last name. And you would respect de Laurent as a tactician, as a soldier, as a commander. Desjardins definitely had your respect for as a fighter and you know, good soldier. And this moment of him breaking
out of character.
Breaking rank seemed out of character. An emotional response that seemed extremely out of character for some reason or another. D'Ambré, he's a lieutenant, seemed to be responded well and competent to the orders that he was given. Maybe not necessarily a great soldier or a great... Younger significantly than you. Younger even than Willoughby. You know, like, this is his first kind of command. But at the same time, the French system meant that he is promoted from the ranks, so it's not his first battle, right? So
he's acceptable.
He's acceptable. And
he has room to grow.
He has room to grow. And it was definitely very much, he followed Major de Laurent's orders competently in a way that showed that he understood why the orders were given, even if he could not predict how those orders should have been made, you know? It's like, once the order was given, then he would, he could follow them and understand why it was happening, but he couldn't foresee the motion to get to that order. Does that help? Yeah.
Did we hear anything about him, about any of this crew of 4, since they've been on parole? Like, I mean, 'cause presumably they've been in the camp at various times. Like, has there been camp gossip about them?
Not as far as you're aware. I mean, you would have heard that Major de Laurent is, again, you know, a major. He's no major, you know, scandalous behavior. He seems to get along well. It has done nothing that would ever give the impression that he was violating his parole. Desjardins has been slightly angry, in a way that de Laurent has tried. You know, there have been a couple times where rumor has it that de Laurent had to kind of order him to stand down, remind him of the parole that they are under. D'Ambré seems to be getting along quite well. He enjoys the horses, and you might have heard that he enjoys hanging out at the farriers. And seems to have a very pleasant disposition, and gets you know, spends more time hanging out with horses than with people.
But we've only had them for a couple of days, though, right?
Like, literally 2.
2 days, yeah.
Or now this is day 3, because you are now officially into the 1st of August.
Yeah, that,
And with that 32, you remember the name of the gentleman in the bed.
Ooh.
Captain Montgomery Lowe.
Do I know he's a captain at this point?
Well, when you knew him, he was a lieutenant, so...
Was he in my unit or a different unit?
He was our infantry officer of a different unit, but in the same division. You were not his sergeant. Let's put it that way.
Did I know anything about him?
Not really. I mean, he was
like in this, like it, just like in the, not like personal things, but just more like, oh yeah, he's that person that, you know, did people think well of him or not? Like just like
for a general understanding, yes, he was relatively well thought of. Not a major player, no major heroic acts of bravery, but not ever mentioned as a coward or an incompetent or, you know, a drunkard. Nothing really either side, right? Not a great hero and not a great asshole.
Was the unit that he was in, the division, is it stationed here? Because it's been 10 years, right?
I mean, he's in a general sense, yes, because the British Army is here. It's in Talavera, but you're not in the exact same, like...
Yeah. Because, I mean, for all I know, his unit could maybe in India still. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
You know that his unit is in the peninsula.
Here. Okay. So it's not weird that he's here.
No, it's not strange that he is, you know, his unit was somewhere part of the combined British-Spanish forces that just dealt with the French at Talavera. Where specifically on the field of Talavera his unit is, you have... That's...
But it's good to know this unit's, like, actually supposed to be here. That's good. And I go, well, here's the thing, Doctor. I don't... I do have a bit of a headache. You know, you said Captain O'Clair was one of the attackers.
Indeed, of the three, one of the three attackers. One was Captain O'Clair. One was an Englishman, I believe. It's actually who. There was something familiar, but it's a sense I got at the back of my head. I haven't quite managed to turn it over, though. It hasn't quite.
You only saw three, though.
But, you said. Oh yes, that one, and then the gentleman over there.
Only three. Well, because there were
on the inside, yes.
Oh, all right. Because there were 4 horsemen, so.
Right. Well, someone was outside firing. So presumably, if they had doubled back, then.
No, there'd be more than at least that, right? Because.
Oh, do you reckon one came? All 4 might have come back in. One of them might have rejoined the party, not masked up, as it were.
Perhaps. That's entirely possible, right? I mean, that would make sense.
It could be. Yes.
But also,
to do something clandestine at the time.
There was a crest. Oh, sorry, I'm a little fuzzy.
That's all right.
Captain O'Clair, he's a Frenchman. His mother's English.
Oh, interesting.
Somebody of rank. You know, I remember you weren't talking to me. You were talking to the captain, I think, or it was a conversation I was hearing you. You said something about that whoever was selling horses would have to speak French. But
yes.
But if this O'Clair is one of these was involved in this situation, then they wouldn't have to at all, because O'Clair could speak English. So it's not necessarily so that whoever did it had to speak French.
Yeah, there was a certain amount of speculation at the time as certain things were being discussed with Major de Laurent that evening, and it seems that he doesn't seem to think that they would that O'Clair would have gone in for the sort of trading that was happening, but I expect he might have helped facilitate it, perhaps.
Well, I mean, he apparently is going in for some sort of murder, so I wouldn't put it past him.
Yes, quite. So one shouldn't wonder. Indeed.
Pardon me, Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Just come a little closer for a moment. That fella over there.
Yes.
I do remember him.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I was just thinking about the battle. That's Lieutenant Lowe. He's probably not lieutenant anymore. But he was one of the lieutenants of my old infantry division years ago. Well before I came to the guards here. 10 years maybe? 10 years back? Probably. Yeah, it was a infantry lieutenant. So you said something about the infantry, just and I just thought, whoa, he's infantry. Also, when I got hit, I was going down, and I just remember heard something, and then I was on the ground, and I just saw a pair of boots walking by my eyes right before they sort of went out, and the boots were shiny, really well polished, but there was a crest on them. Somebody put their fancy crest on their boots.
Indeed.
It was it looked like it seemed sort of familiar to me, but I couldn't place it. I was passing out at the time.
Like a house crest or a Mako's mark?
No, it was like a house crest. It was some sort of sigil of some sort of. It was I wasn't able to make it then. I was being hit in the head. Can I make my roll now to see if I can remember it, or at least describe it to him? Cunning memory. I would like to use my other bonus die. Okay. And I'm going to just try to describe starting with the boot outwards and then coming in to see if that will jog my memory, my poor concussed memory. Oh, boots are black, shiny, really well put together. There was a strap on the boots.
Good.
The strap it was like a leather strap, and there was like a sigil on the. It's like a buckle. The shape it was. It was sort of dark out there. What do I remember at all? Would be my question. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
I think you might be muted.
You were saying.
Thank you, Crit, for reminding me to undo that. So you remember so what it was is you have you remember the boots and that they were riding boots and they were well polished, and you have that buckle that you get on the riding boot to attach the spur, but sometimes you just leave the buckle to attach the spur onto, so you don't have to unbuckle everything all at once, right? You can just do the little piece. And it's that kind of where the buckle was, that's like this small household crest. And what you recall with a 7 is it was like silver, metallic, a profile of some sort.
I don't think I remember who it is, but I'm gonna try to describe it. Maybe he knows it, because I don't really know all the noble people in the entire universe. You know what I mean?
It's you struggle to recall what it looks like, and you remind okay. Props to Coldrake for that pun.
Yes.
Spurred him to remember. Yes.
I'm just trying to set up my doctor so that he can maybe make a roll instead, because I'm just going to just kind of give as much detail as I can.
Okay, so I will
knowing that I probably don't I would imagine I probably don't, even if I could remember it really well, I probably wouldn't know which family it sort of belonged to, since that's not the world that I sort of hang out in. So I'm just going to sort of describe it as best I can, right? Just this sort of shape, it had. Was here, it was on a riding boot, and just anything I can sort of think of, even though and I don't know what details are useful or not useful, so I'm gonna just try to
Okay.
Okay,
Give
so
everything.
you describe it as much as you can. Then I will say that the doctor may roll, but you don't have a great description with a 7. You don't remember enough.
Now, an interesting thing here is happening, though. He is describing an article of clothing to me. So I am
Yes,
going to
indeed.
ask about a few more details about the boots themselves to see if that will help give me a direction toward what kind of... And I know it's not going to pin down a specific person necessarily, but it's like, I don't know, maybe if I do really well, I'd know those boots anywhere. But I'm just sort of trying to get a sense of the cut of the boots and kind of more sort of to give me sort of an idea of the kind of, sort of try to at least narrow it down to like, okay, you would need to have gotten that if it's a noble family, and they would need to have gotten it from this place or that kind of deal.
And my answers to those questions will be about how much they deviate from standard issue, right? Like my whole sort of filter is like, well, these would not be like whether they are or not military boots, whether or not they are so that's always like my base of reference, and so I can describe.
Okay, they're definitely
everything,
not standard issue, but they're really nice.
Yeah, everything that like sort of deviates from sort of the military standard, I can sort of expound like, well, we normally do this, and this one does that, right? Like, and like this is clearly, way out of my zone.
Yes.
And also, Kildrake, these boots are made for riding. Come on now.
So I will say you will get the description as best as you can. You may then roll to see if you can more accurately describe, see if this jots your memory, sir. And then we have a thing will happen. So go ahead and make your roll.
That's worrisome.
So what do you get with your cunning memory there, Jim? You're muted.
Sorry, I wasn't sure what the where we were here. Okay, so cunning memory.
See if you can pick up anything from my sad,
right.
muddled.
I shall make an attempt. Here we go. 8.
It sounds like a noble house of some sort.
Yeah. That's certainly a noble crest.
Hey, that was a super bad roll for you, by the way.
Yeah. Wasn't great.
Yeah.
Wasn't great.
It's not automatically jumping to mind. You can think of like pieces of it that make sense that you could see, having been there a lot before, but it doesn't. The combination and description that he's giving and the other things that have happened, you don't quite get.
Yeah. I should have to consult some resources on this one, as it's not immediately springing to mind. Well then.
Hey, is everybody all right?
Well, let me actually. I was just about to check on the Sergeant Major, as he's been doing some recovery. But as you've come around, I think it might be good for us to, let's say, pool our minds here, if at all we can. Let me see if he's finished his most recent bout of recovery.
What happened to him?
Oh, well, no, he was...
Because I don't know anything.
We're going to take the break for the evening, and when we're going to come back, we're going to see what's going on with Sergeant Griffiths. I'm quite sure that everything will be fine.
I didn't know.
Everything will be just fine.
Lieutenant Valentine has no idea what happened. It's very limited information about what happened last night.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be right back.
Oh no. Donuts.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're refreshed. You have more tea or water, your choice. And now we are here to see what Sergeant Griffiths, you've been observing this conversation between the lieutenant and the major. Your companion Adora has left you. I'm sorry, she doesn't adore you that much.
I was concerned they were in I kind of thought they were in a separate sort of sectioned off area, just because it's, sometimes one needs special nursing, so. But if they were in the same room, that's were they in the same room when he was getting the special nursing? I'm just a little concerned.
It's one big tent.
If that's the case, then I'm sorry that I didn't realize they were finished. If I knew they were finished, I'd have probably gone over sooner. Sorry, go ahead.
So, Adora has left you, Sergeant. I'm sorry. And return, you see the conversation, then you see the doctor kind of turn and look at you.
Are you in earshot, or is this?
It's a small auxiliary tent off the main hospital tent. It is not that far.
Somehow my brain was putting different rooms in this tent. I don't know why. I basically, I kind of had this thought that if if anyone had asked questions about Adora, I feel as though I can just sort of draft people to be nurses whenever I need to. So it's sort of one of those situations.
Yeah, she's
a nurse.
She's a nurse.
Anyway.
Sure.
And realistically, everyone from the party who was injured, at least of the British contingent, was put in here to keep them away from the main hospital tent, more for a guard situation than for other reason. It's easier. It's a smaller contained space, and it was easier to put guards on this. That was it. But yes, he's right there, like 10 feet from you.
Okay. Yeah.
He can reach out and touch you.
Oh my God. Well, in that case, I just sort of look at it. What do you make of all this?
A word? I don't think I have a word for it, actually.
It can be rather difficult to hedge in with these things. But
I mean, I just want to point out that I chose my profession specifically so that I would not have to deal with drama.
I fear that it would seem that the drama had another idea.
I have a question, though. Something I don't understand. So, it makes sense that we've got these horse thieves. All right, we're at the soiree. Somebody tries to murder the person who runs the soiree and our major, artillery major. Don't know why. All right. Then though, okay, so that's a bold move. That's strange. But then my understanding is that Sergeant Major, you were shot at. Is that right?
Yes.
Why would they do that?
Several times, in fact.
Several times. Why would they do that? And then, why would they be lingering outside of the estate? And why would they come back in and sort of, bump me on the head? If they came back for a reason, right? They poisoned somebody, then they escaped. All right, let's say they did that. But then why were they lurking outside? And then why did they come back in? And then, commit some mayhem? Why would they do that? What would they? Do they miss something? You don't go back into a place, right? Unless there's something you need there, because we don't know who they were. So it's not like we had witnesses or something. So like, what were they? But then also, why would why would Captain Montgomery Lowe be in that group of people? He's you know, he's
I am
one
actually
of us.
wondering about that. Was Captain Lowe by any chance? Did I assume that we know about the business that happened in was it 1802, the revolt? Do we all know about that?
Of the
'Cause it was our unit.
with your unit, yes.
Yeah.
But I remember
He's from
that
a different unit.
he was in a different unit. He's in the infantry, not in the cavalry.
Okay. All right. So that's so I don't think there'd be any associations there. Okay. It is rather curious, as I don't know if they were attempting to finish the job or if there was another target. There were certain things during which some of you don't know if who got to hear what with respect to this, but certain details came to light around during the questioning of the major, Major de Laurent.
Stepped outside myself, so probably didn't hear it.
It seems that, Sergeant Major, I don't know if you were entirely conscious for no, you were not. In fact, you had gone unconscious by the time we'd gotten around to talking about it. So yes, it seems there is something of a cabal. I believe that there is enough information now from a description that the cook gave me that Captain Auclair, I believe, was the one who introduced the poison.
Why would he do that?
Well, that's an excellent question. We don't know, but it's there was a indeed.
Sorry, I had an idea. I had an idea last night. I told my captain about it, but Captain Bisley. But my thought was that when Captain Bisley was shooting at them, from far away, the idea was that, well, if somebody got clipped, then they'd have to come in and see you for treatment if they got clipped, right? Or if they got sort of injured in some kind of serious way. So, question is, but of course, if they saw you there at the thing, they might not want to come and visit you. But we're gonna have to go muster sooner or later, right? And
look about for injuries.
Right, we could look for injuries.
It's a good idea. No one that I've treated today seems to have anything matching. I hope this is true. No one I've treated today seems to have anything matching the injuries of that our attackers would have.
Were they hit badly?
Well, one was shot.
It's an injury. That's an injury, all right. That's right. So.
Then, of course, the one that was shot, unfortunately, had raced off. You see, we don't yet know that one's identity. But it seems we found out someone that now it appears that Auclair and d'Ambray both had been nowhere to be found for a certain amount of time, and then also, at some point, I believe prior to that, but after their capture, that Major de Laurent had witnessed Captain Auclair conversing quite closely, and very closely, with Lieutenant Ingram.
Strange. Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean anything.
With him, and also with and Spaulding hesitates for a second. Before I say this next name, Valentine, I'm going to need to ask you to gather up whatever tiniest scintillas of discretion you might have at your command.
What do you mean?
If I say this and then you I understand you're going to have a certain amount of concern after if I deliver this second name to you. And I merely ask that if I do say this second name to you, that you not go off half-cocked.
Well,
and in your efforts to protect someone we both care about.
All right. I promise if I go off, it'll be full cocked. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all one can expect. It seems, and this is as of yet, we still don't know for certain what is going on with them. But there was some degree of interaction of the same nature, apparently between Eau Claire and Mrs. Bisley.
You can't believe that, though.
Well,
Eau Claire just trying to be
well, there is a link.
and...
I'm afraid there is a link, as Ingram has been supplying Mrs. Bisley with certain patterns for Spanish lace.
Okay.
Which are not accessible outside, which are not normally accessible. It was an English pattern that she was using, right? Am I right with that about that? The Spanish lace?
No, the lace she was. Her shawl was Spanish lace.
Her shawl was Spanish lace. Yeah. I know there was a thing about getting stuff from places, and she was on about getting stuff from England.
She wanted to get higher fashions from England, but the shawl she's currently wearing is Spanish lace and relatively new.
Okay.
And not, more importantly, design and fabric and choice seems to lead one to a certain % desire for Barcelona rather than, say, Western Spain.
I see, and Barcelona is, I presume, still currently held
by the French.
By the French, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Excellent. Good. I was trying to figure out what the connection was because it was Spanish lace and all, and I've just been sort of making leaps. So there's. See, the thing is, there's only one way to get. That pattern, I'm afraid, comes out of Barcelona, which is not accessible to us through ordinary channels at this time.
I just look over to the Sergeant Major, like with a question mark, because there were a lot of details that had nothing to do with the battlefield that was going on right there. And so there was a, I feel like the Sergeant Major will explain it.
I don't know how to explain it any further.
She's benefiting from a trade that I believe Ingram is engaging in with Captain Eau Claire to get things moved back and forth across the line.
Why would he do that?
Well,
it doesn't make any sense.
Probably it can't be for money.
No, because he's really well off.
Yeah. But he might have something.
I feel like I always need to point out that for you folks who have not been born to more elitist houses, is that there is never any idea that there's too much money.
No, that is true. That is certainly true.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, there's certainly ideas of too much money. Like certain things are clearly too much money. Couldn't afford that sort of thing.
Well, there are a number of other motives as well that could be speculated upon. But should he wish to be, say, position himself so that after these skirmishes are over, as someone who is an alternative on imports to, well, let me perhaps, to be perfectly frank, my friend Marianne right now is the sole purveyor of fashions in England from Paris. She does so at great risk to her employees. If she suddenly becomes the only one, and this is merely only in this arena, but if she becomes the only, if she becomes someone who is no longer the only one, and I mean after, then there's a certain temporal power to be leveraged in addition to the simple to simple currency.
I'm sorry.
This could be. This is something that. What I'm saying, Valentine, is this is a thing that could be done with other things besides clothing. Horses, for example.
Well, but there are a lot of people who sell horses.
But not back and forth in the way that they currently are, you see. Also, yeah, one must wonder if he's attempting to curry favor with someone on the other side. That's a possibility as well.
Hold on.
Lieutenant
Valentine, Lieutenant Ingram is what he is, but he's British.
Oh, he is that.
And
well, but
cunning memory.
Prax is muted.
I asked for Sergeant Griffiths to roll me a cunning memory, please.
I used 1 bonus dice, by the way.
Okay. One of your 3.
I got an 8. Yes.
With your 8, Lieutenant Ingram is definitely British.
That said with a strange inflection.
But there's a but there. There's an important but there. Unfortunately, you did not succeed. You can...
There's weirdness, right? There's weirdness?
I feel like I want to do something.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Does it involve a resolve token?
It does, actually.
I'm very concerned.
I feel like I need to share my wealth. So I'm going to spend a resolve token. To have a personage join this particular conversation.
Someone awesome that we love? The answer probably is no, because then you wouldn't be giving us a resolve token for it. But
I mean, I find them awesome and enjoyable, and possibly you would love them. But I feel like you were intending to... What I will do is leave this as a resolve token for the pool that you can spend against me as a group. But I'm spending a resolve token to add Major Atkins coming through the back door.
Ah.
Having heard portion of your conversation, and particularly your point that Lieutenant Ingram is British, and then he kind of glances at...
Once I see the major, I'm like, oh, I kind of just... I'm a little quiet, because the major is a little bit intimidating.
I'm standing up. Well, my dear fellow, how's the leg?
Well, the leg is quite, it's a leg. It stands, I'm standing on it. And Lieutenant Valentine, I feel that I should point out to you somewhere in your fine understanding of the British crown. Long may the king, God save the king.
Save the king.
That certain folk don't necessarily agree with the definition of being British, because that implies that they're English, and some of us fine fellas are not.
I didn't call him English, though. I called him British.
Yeah, but that's still an insult.
Oh, I see. Huh.
Now, if you're asking about the fine Lieutenant Ingram, you should remember that his father is the Viscount Irvine.
Well, yeah, he's got a estate in Scotland, but
And a peerage in Scotland.
right.
And then he kind of turns and looks at Griffiths and the doctor and be like, this is why you need to teach the boy more before you let him into public spaces. I don't think that this is a person you want walking around representing yourself before you know.
Quite. Well,
To be fair, we don't really bring him along for the his social graces.
Well, you know, the Scots have got they're very brave. They've got really well decorated units, and they fight for the crown. And
Well, which crown though? That's rather been a question of within the last couple of generations, has it not?
well, but I feel like we're all together now.
A great many people have that feeling. A great many people also do not, from what I understand.
Whoa.
In respect for the British, in respect for the crown, doesn't necessarily mean respect for Britain.
Well, but
You're an idealist, Valentine. And I'm shocked by that because you've been in service for a number of years, like over a good decade at least, and you're still an idealist. I worry. Were you dropped on your head as a child?
everybody keeps talking about head injuries in me. I don't know why. Look, it's not about idealism. I don't know about all that. That seems sort of highfalutin. I just basically, you know, in the end, they take care of us, and the sun doesn't set in the British Empire, and you know, king and country and all that.
I mean, technically that statement hasn't come yet, but I'll respect it.
It's 1809, right? Don't we still have
that's part of the Victoria's. That's from one of her prime minister's opening speeches.
Right. I mean, we our empire spans the globe. We're doing great things, king and country and all that for the regiment.
And there speaks.
I'm sorry. At that, Cleveland just starts cracking up really loudly. It's like a knee slapper laugh.
And there speaks an Englishman. And why an Irishman should be leading your army. Now, what were you saying about trade in illegal goods here, Doctor?
You're saying something about fancy clothing. I don't really quite get it.
Well, that's very obvious, Valentine. It's quite obvious that your sartorial choices seem to be slightly lacking.
One tries to do what little things one can to improve things, but one can only watch someone tie a cravat the wrong way so many times before one just feels compelled to give up. But at any rate, yes, the.
By the way, thank you for tying my cravat for the thing last
You're
night.
most welcome, Valentine. Yes, it would seem that we got a little information out of the major Major de Laurent.
Fine fellow for a Frenchman. I do like him.
Oh, indeed. He was quite decent enough. He was good. He was prepared to assist us, and he did actually. He was quite helpful, in fact, that evening.
Perhaps not continuing this discussion, considering certain people's rank and certain people's other ranks, and perhaps things that shouldn't be mentioned. Aye, Doctor?
Oh, indeed. Indeed. But it seems that he had observed certain things regarding his fellow countrymen who were similarly on parole. There appears to be an association that had struck up betwixt Auclair, Captain Auclair, and Lieutenant Ingram. And that I have reason to believe that Lieutenant Ingram has been attempting to acquire goods of various types. It's been getting certain types of clothing rather quickly from Barcelona.
Well, that is intriguing. Very interesting. Very interesting. But I'll take that fine, folk. But however, this gentleman, and he kind of gestures with the cigarello in his hand at Captain Lowe. When can I be taking him off your hands? Because he seems to have an important date with some gentleman of a slightly more robust and aggressive nature, and possibly with a noose.
I see. Well, it seems that. Well, let's see. And how soon is it when he? How long will it be before before Captain Lowe begins to
awaken?
I think will begin to be able to become conscious.
You're not sure he will.
Yeah.
He's alive, but he did fall from 15 stories, crack his head, and spend a small amount of time in water. So he's not drowned. You're not 100% sure that he will wake up.
Well, I think probably within the next day or so, the injuries themselves shall be manageable enough to move him. I do not know if there shall ever be that we shall ever see a day when he shall move himself.
Well, in that case, Griffiths, I'm going to leave you in charge of making sure that guy don't run and or do something stupid, because you're the sound and intelligent person in this room.
I mean, the doctor's standing right there.
Yes, but the doctor also has this whole thing about, right to life and all this bullshit.
Well, I suppose I am a invested party in all of this.
Yeah, speaking of, I have a question for you, based on some fine conversation I've been hearing. Is it true, sir, that your, father is a, respectable member of the peerage?
Who's he addressing?
Griffiths.
Griffiths.
He certainly likes to think so, yes.
Really?
And, so then it is unfortunately my unfortunate solemn duty to express the sad news to you, Sergeant, about the fine passing of your brother. And, well, you're now the eldest heir. I hope you don't do anything fair stupid on this battlefield. Have yourself a pleasant day, gentlemen. Don't do anything wrong. And he'll, blow out the cigarette and walk out the door. Or side of the tent.
I'm really sorry about the loss of your brother, sir. My lord, or whatever. Sorry, if I've also been if I've not been respectful enough of your station. Sorry about that too. Sorry.
This is a horrible inconvenience.
I'm really sorry about your loss. If you need me to, if you need something, do you need
I'm actually standing up. I'm walking over to the slightly less scandalous alcove. I am pouring a drink, and I am coming back.
Disappointingly not
the
so
drink to
scandalous
Griffiths.
alcohol is what it's called.
So how does one exactly gain passage to the new continent? Just throwing that out there.
Don't you mean to go back to dear old Blighty, so that you could go to the funeral?
I'm
sure they could get some sort of a permission to go.
Yeah, no, that's. I think I want to head more westbound.
Is your family out west? That doesn't make any sense.
No, but that's the whole reason why I would want to go west, is that my family is not there.
As I'm handing Griffiths I'm just handing Griffiths a drink, and I'm saying, well, I could make a couple of inquiries as of certain there are certain parties who do who might be able to get things out rather expediently should the need arise.
Master, sir, Sergeant Major, family is the most important thing.
Quite.
Cleveland just clasps Valentine's shoulders like, it's so precious that you think that.
But, I mean, they're everything. You know, they take care of you, that they raised you, I mean, don't you love your mother? I mean, everybody loves their mother.
You've met my sister, haven't you, Valentine?
Not too much, no.
Well, you're very fortunate, but a lot of her virtues take after our mother.
Oh, well, you know, English roses and all that. But anyway, I'm just sorry about your loss, because I know family is really important, because at the end of the day, you know, that's who stands by you, and that's who you have. And you've got to do right by your family and provide and all that. So I'm sorry. And I imagine it's not so different between people who are highborn like you and people who are less highborn like me, that in the end, you know, that's what's important.
And we take
Gosh, I hope you never lose. Gosh, I hope you never lose that quaint innocence.
It's not innocence, it's family. Like he just says as like the camera sort of pulls back.
And the camera turns and pans, and standing at the door of the tent is one Private First Class Benjamin Perkins.
Oi, lad. I wave. Oh, sorry.
God. Real quick. I'm not actually even going to say anything. But Perkins, kind of being at the door, is just going to be standing and staring at you.
At who?
At Valentine.
Oh, okay, good.
Perkins, come on in. I'm all right. I just got a conk on the head. Do you want a seat? You all right?
It's all right, sir. I've got my duties.
Are you all right?
And he's just going to turn around and walk away.
Wait. I try to get up, but I'm probably a little bit still woozy. What's going on? What do you think that was about?
As he's coming back with another drink. Oh, I do. Was that young Perkins?
Yeah.
Sorry, I missed him. I was going to place a wager.
No, he just came in and left in a sort of a strange way. It had a bit of strange air about him.
Yeah, Perkins is, shall we say, quite excitable.
No, he wasn't excited at all. He was odd.
Yeah, was he?
Yeah, he just sort of said he knew what his duty was, and then he left. I hope he's not going to do something. We should, should probably go after him.
Well,
I mean, I don't know what that means.
I don't reckon are either of them in any condition to be leaving this tent right now?
I mean, Griffiths is. He's,
He's hale and hearty.
Yeah, most of his wounds were of a slightly more ego level, shall we say. as opposed to Valentine, who got hit over the head twice in the same day, and
by large heavy things.
by large heavy things.
Yeah.
Well, with Griffiths, it was a couple of bullet wounds, wasn't it?
Griffiths. Remember, Griffiths did not get engaged. He was still in the main master's bedroom. He had passed out.
He was still shot. Yeah,
yeah,
but
he was shot in the arm. He was shot in the arm. There were two. Both Major de Laurent and Griffiths get shot. Griffiths also has a head wound, but he's not. And but he kind of like he's okay. He's recovered. You've treated him.
I'm totally fine. Everyone keeps talking about concussions, but I'm fine.
Well, it's I know. So again, it's not a concussion, but you would benefit from a bit more rest, Valentine. Just at the moment, I'm afraid.
But young Perkins looks he looks strange, and he's from my hometown.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, yes, he is, and I promised his mother I'd keep him safe.
Huh. Yeah, that's very good of you. You've got a good heart, Valentine. I expect it. I expect the lad will bounce back if nothing else, but we shall see.
Doctor, here's the thing. There's nefariousness about. Somebody put.
There is indeed.
There's poisoning and explosions with ordnance and gunpowder and some sort of gunpowder plot and then poisoning and then stabbing and then shooting and people stealing horses and camp's not all that safe is all I'm trying to say and what do you think young Perkins meant with like I know what I've got to do, sir? That's distressing considering like what if he found out who did it? What if he found out who the murderer was and he figured he had to go and like try to stop the murderer by himself and then he gets stabbed? What if something like that happens?
At your mention of a plot, actually Spaulding has been looking back and forth now between you and then looking over at Lowe. Do you remember where Lowe was from by any chance? Back home?
Ooh.
Any inkling?
I don't think so.
Roughly.
I've heard him speak. Perhaps I've heard him speak. In terms of accents, what region of the island is he from? Because if there's one thing you can tell about people in the UK, it's where they're from their accents, and also often their class.
Mm-hmm. You have heard him speak. You did hear him in previous conversations. You, at the time, were an enlisted. So it was very much an affectation.
Okay.
But there were certain idioms that he used of a slightly more northern distinction.
Well, sort of sounded fancy most of the time, but I don't know if he actually was fancy. Sort of talk posh, but then every once in a while there's a thing he'd say with like he'd say like like plates or something. Like it's a bit of kind of a sort of northern maybe.
Maybe a little bit more northern than that.
It could have been he said something once that sort of sounded a bit, I don't know, could it be Geordie? No, that wasn't it. Wasn't a Scouser. Could have been a Scouser, but he could have been Scottish.
Us.
He said a thing. He just said once. He said something about. He said he used a word. They used it there at the time. Not most of the time, but I heard him say something about. It's one of those weird things, that you hear. Might have been Scots Gaelic, maybe, or something like that. But it's just like one word. Anyway, most of the time I just. try to. He just sounds sort of fancy most of the time.
I shall need to. Yes, I think I need to write a letter, and I need to take a look, have a little look through the peerage.
But what about young Perkins?
Well,
I gotta go.
I strongly suspect young Perkins is not employed by the House of Stuart, but one would never know.
No, I meant that. No, I meant. As you get up, he's like, "No, I meant that he might be running off to get in danger, and I don't want him getting hurt."
I think that Perkins is made of sterner stuff and
But if
can
he's
take
gonna
care
go-
of himself.
He's a young lad, and if he's just going to go off by himself, he might get stabbed or exploded, poisoned. There was the look on his face was real disturbing. It was worrisome. His mother would kill me if anything happened to him. He's a good lad.
The doctor at this point is going to get. I don't know if I have a peerage book or if it would have survived the fire.
I did save a bunch of stuff.
He did save a bunch of stuff. I don't know if that would have been in it or not.
I'm trying to remember.
I got his papers.
You got his papers, but you would.
I got his travel.
And you did pull out the heavy ass bookcase that was also the medicine cabinet, but you left the wardrobe.
I'm so sorry. So sorry about the wardrobe. It's the worst.
High low.
Let's say low.
For Captain Low.
Unfortunately, you did have a peerage, but it was not saved from the explosion.
Damn. I go back for a second and I look and I'm like, damn. All right.
What are you looking for, sir? Doctor.
Going to need some. Right. Well, the good news is that I think perhaps I might have just figured out something that's going on. The bad news is we may have a revolt on our hands.
That doesn't make any sense. Blood runs hot for some time.
Wait,
what are you talking about?
I shall need to examine a few resources, and then I fear I shall have to speak with the colonel again rather soon. And I will the conspiracy.
For what?
The conspiracy, the cabal we've been speaking of. Once again, I must ask you to try to scrounge up any of the tiniest motes of discretion you might have within your soul. I suspect the cabal might be Scottish.
Why?
He sort of points over at Lowe, and then he says, and then someone with a lordship, potentially, just up in that region, as Ingram does. These are still, it is only 2 points, so it could be a coincidence. The third point would be that crest you described.
Right.
Which is why I must obtain a copy of the peerage, rather immediately.
Wait a minute. I just thought of something. And I look over at Sergeant Major with an eye. What if, the Sergeant Major, you were shot at, right?
Yes.
Well, then they came back to the estate, right?
Yes.
And turns out you're a lord. What if you were the target for this assassination the entire time? Because it's some sort of, do you have some sort of blood feud with some sort of nobles? Like, does your house have some sort of, something like that? Do you have like ancient enemies? Are you like a duke or something?
Is he like going to be a duke now? Is that the idea?
No, you have a minor title, but you are now in line to inherit said minor title.
Valentine doesn't know. He's like, for all he knows, he's some like, so like, he doesn't know. Like,
For your family is from the Eastlands, I would say, maybe a Viscount, maybe an Earl. Lower peerage, but still respectable.
No, it's just more that I stand now to inherit a tidy sum, as well as all the responsibilities that entail with it. And you could hear his teeth grinding a little bit when he says responsibilities.
well, you're very responsible, so you do a good job at it.
No, that's completely not true. I would say that I am responsible in that I am unburdened by a number of responsibilities, and therefore all of my responsibilities are actually completely manageable or can be ignored.
Sergeant Major, you're the master farrier of the guards unit. You've got one of the most important responsibilities of anybody here. You're one of the most responsible people I've ever met. The things you do, you're just I don't even understand how you could say that. After everything you do for all of us, you keep us all alive. And if it weren't for you, we'd all be dead. We'd be.
Well, I think that's more for the doctor. I take care of horses, and horses are easy to deal with.
If you look over at the doctor, he's now in the back writing a letter.
No, I don't. You're one of the most important people in our unit, and you're a sergeant major.
I just feel like I also need to point out that now that my eldest brother, whose name escapes me because I care that much about my family, now that he is gone, there are only myself and my sister, and through my sister, her husband, who could have any sort of claims to the estate. And if I were to disappear, well, then...
You think your sister's trying to murder you?
I feel like my sister's...
Well, poison is a woman's weapon.
Okay. Now you're just jumping... You're jumping a few steps. Let's just scale it back. Let's just say that my sister's concern for my well-being is overstated.
So you think your sister tried to murder you so she could, but that's not very familial. So I've got to keep you safe from her. I've got to keep the doctor safe from whoever that was. It's a lot of people to keep safe. I got to keep young Perkins safe. Will you go after him? I'll go after him. I'll just get up. It'll be fine. That didn't feel good. We should really go after him.
I think you need to just take a moment to think things through a little bit. Maybe we should send for your wife and children to visit.
But what about young Perkins?
I think Perkins will keep.
He had a weird look in his eye. I didn't like what he said. You know what? Sod it. I don't care what sort of strange brain injury he might have. I'm going to go after him. Doctor's in the back. He can't stop me. I'm going to get up and I'm going to go after young Perkins because I promised his mother that I'd keep him safe.
Can Cleveland, who is standing now, trip Valentine innocently as he's passing by?
I feel this is a fighting brawling. And I will give Valentine the possibility of either an awareness notice.
I think it's actually athletics, because I was practicing. I was practicing knocking down people in the Game of Thrones. We were practicing because, like, I have no fighting my other character, so I believe it's athletics to knock somebody down.
Ah, you know, that is fair. That is fair. I will take that. Then I would say it's athletics.
Where was it?
Athletics strength, or athletics, because it could just be fighting brawling if you want to trip somebody.
I'll do athletics strength. And I will use a bonus dice.
Okay. Go ahead and use up all those bonus dice. For a 12. Mr. Valentine.
It says when an opponent attempts to knockdown maneuver, its difficulty is 4 times your agility rank.
What is your agility rank, sir?
My agility rank. So it's athletics. Roll athletics test against your foe's passive agility result, and it is over here on my sheet. My agility is a 3, so 12. 12.
Ooh, so 1 rank, 1 degree of success. You do manage to trip him, but it doesn't knock him to the floor. It's that stumble over something and keep your balance and you're upright, but you are.
Oh, I can fall prone. It's fine because it's a success. It's good. So I'm fine being knocked down.
But sometimes the degrees of success matter in this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you manage to stay upright, but you are definitely he delayed.
Oh
you.
man.
Ooh.
Lieutenant Valentine, you seem to be rather unsteady on your feet. I think you should maybe reconsider leaving this medical tent. And
here's the thing. It's not my safety I'm worried about. And I made a promise to somebody's mother. So I gotta go take care of it. I know y'all don't care about it, but I do. Matters to me.
I didn't say I didn't care about it. I just said that, maybe we shouldn't just go off full cocked, I should say.
Well, good thing I'm only half cocked. Walk out the tent.
Did I hear them fall, or am I sort of sequestered too much?
You sequestered yourself, I would say.
Yeah.
You removed
That's
yourself.
fair. I am distracted right now.
You are diligently hunting for a baron's peerage in this military encampment. Lieutenant Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to see if you can find.
Yeah.
And Private Perkins.
Mm-hmm.
Our dear friend Ben. And I'm going to say you can use a survival track for this.
Okay. I will do so. And I'm going to look around because, you've got to take care of your own. I roll a 5 out of 4 dice, which is super bad. Oh, wow. I rolled 3 1s and a 2. That was super bad. I'm going to sort of stand out, come out of the tent. It's probably brighter than it was on the inside. And still unsteady on my feet with the totally not a concussion. And I'm going to sort of wander, I think. I probably think that I'm quite, what's the word? I probably think that I'm like straight as an arrow and like moving with a purpose. And
he would not pass a field sobriety test.
But I probably would. You know what I mean? Like I imagine that I'm moving, but I might even be in slow motion in a way. You know what I mean? Like I think I'm there, but I might get a bit like, yeah, I imagine I'm probably turned around, but I don't realize it, if that makes any sense. Because I'm probably like, I know this place, right? Like, but I have been hit in the head really badly twice in the last 24 hours. That's what I imagine.
You are stumbling around and slightly disoriented, and will not find Perkins. However, Lieutenant Valentine will be found by someone else. There's a sharp laugh, kind of behind you, and then a, "Lieutenant, are you drunk on duty?" of the voice of one Lieutenant Ingram.
Of course it is. Oh, Lieutenant Ingram, no, have you seen Sergeant Perkins? Private Perkins, have you seen him?
No.
Oh. He should be around here somewhere. He just visited me in the medical tent, and he just walked out, and I'm looking for him.
Well, last I heard, Perkins was stationed as part of the security detail around the other side, watching some of those French fellows.
Oh, thank you very much, Lieutenant Ingram. You're a good egg. Thank you. I'll need to go look for him.
When you say that, he just kind of snorts and walks away from you. You can roll me an awareness notice.
I will. I'm at least better at this than Bisley is. That's my my one saving grace. 15?
With a 15, that's very good. It's a formidable success. And you notice something slightly odd as you're kind of looking around for
trying to get my bearings
Perkins,
about the
get your bearings. You see Ingram, but he's not walking the way he usually does. The overly confident stride,
his swagger,
his slight swagger, the slight Fosse hip thrust walk, as if to establish the fact that he is walking into a room and is the biggest dick in the room. In all,
the minute he walked in the joint, I could tell he was a man of distinction, like a real big spender.
Yeah. In the joint. And okay, now I have that stuck in my head.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
But he's not doing that. He seems almost to be limping slightly on his left leg.
Lieutenant.
He doesn't seem to have heard you. Or at least not acknowledging that he has heard you.
So Cleveland did actually follow Valentine out. And he's just going to shrug, and he's going to start jogging, making a big show of stretching. And he's going to jog straight past and accidentally bump into Ingram. He's going to pass on the left, and he will actually say, on your left, just a little bit after he bumped into
I am so happy right now because that is straight up Steve levels of messing with someone. I appreciate this. Okay.
I think it's really great when you have a rival, but you don't think that they're your rival. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're like, I realized on my character sheet that this person is my rival, but like my character's like, well, he probably treats everybody that way. You know, that's probably just his attitude.
I'm pretty sure he doesn't treat Quibble that way. Just gonna throw that out there.
He kind of stumbles to the side, but doesn't fall on his face. Kind of stays upright and just kind of looks at you like that moment of Sergeant.
I will go to
Sorry.
help him.
On your left. And then he's gonna turn around and continue jogging back to his farrier station.
Okay.
I will come up to help Lieutenant Ingram. Oh, are you all right, Lieutenant Ingram?
Yes, Valentine. Thank you for your assistance.
Oh, no worries. You should go see the doctor if you got yourself hurt.
Fine. Just a awkward stretch this morning.
Oh, well, you should go see the doctor anyway because things like that, it's bad for your writing. Come on, let's go. I've got to go the other direction anyway to go find young Perkins, so I'll take you over. I mean, I got hit in the head, and our regiment needs all the lieutenants it can get. Come on.
I need you to roll me a persuasion of some sort here, either deception bluff or persuasion.
I'm not bluffing. No, I'm not deceiving at all. Like, I actually mean it. Like, I don't want him. We need all of our lieutenants that we can get. Sure, I'll roll persuasion. I'm really good at that, though. It's not true, chat. I'm not good at that. 8.
He kind of stares at you and just kind of slightly rolls his eyes. Fine, if you think this is such a big a deal.
We've got to stay fit, I mean, there are people out there.
He doesn't seem to respond to that.
I will walk him towards the medical tent and, I'll say, Doctor.
So, quick question, re-logistics.
Mm-hmm.
I had a thought, a strange and perhaps thought that is dangerous personally to me, but also might be helpful story-wise.
Uh-oh.
I was thinking perhaps between, if this is acceptable, I was wondering if perhaps between the time that Valentine lit out and the time that Griffiths left to follow him, if I might have handed Griffiths a sealed envelope, and in a very, not in the casual way the doctor often is, but in this more of a sort of, this is those few times the doctor is serious, would have asked if he would have put it in a certain place for him, that it was very important and that he can't get away because their patients are in someone he needs to make sure is under guard. And he needs to send someone he trusts.
I feel that that's perfectly appropriate.
I think it's a slightly unusual place. It's like a box or a some sort of like a like say a box on a pillar that seems disused somewhere, but that's like on the edge of camp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so if that's doable, would Griffiths have agreed to do that?
And would Griffiths have taken the letter to be delivered?
Considering how irresponsible he is, of course. That's just
No. He really wouldn't have.
Okay. There are other people around you could have asked to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, usually probably you might do that, but it's so probably as far as the conversation would have been gotten was that would have been something along, could you drop this for me somewhere? And if he just said if he'd like shaken his head or said no or something, it'd be like whenever. But what that means is probably I might still have it right now on me. Okay, all right, that's fine.
So
yes, but so they're coming back to with someone. and sort of tucking it away and saying, "Oh yes," he says, coming back forward. No,
Sorry,
you
Lieutenant
seem to
Ingram.
be you seem to be doing a bit of extracurricular exercise at this point. It's doesn't appear to be that one wonders if you've decided you're going for a third time to have your head split open.
I did
No,
wonder, Doctor, about his capabilities. It seemed he was walking in a manner that implied he had been severely intoxicated.
No, I have to go get young Perkins, but unfortunately, the Sergeant Major clipped Lieutenant Ingram a little bit accidentally, and I think he hurt himself in a stretch in the morning.
Indeed.
Yeah, so if you just make
Well,
sure
we
he's
can have
gonna
a
be okay.
quick look, certainly.
I appreciate, and he just, I appreciate your concern, Doctor, but
All the lieutenants have to be right on board. You know, there's.
Oh,
says the man who can't walk straight.
Oh, I know, but sometimes you gotta. Sometimes even you. I'm gonna go find young Perkins. Doctor, I leave him in your care.
just try to not go too quickly. All right? Don't want that splitting open again.
Great.
And do come straight back. Should you find any signs of bleeding or dizziness?
Well, a little dizziness is all right, right?
The less, the better.
And he goes, still a little unsteady on his feet, as if clear there is still a little bit of dizziness.
So we're gonna pan the camera and follow Valentine as he proceeds. Valentine, you may roll another survival track to see if you can find Perkins.
Yeah, and I'm going to be heading right where Lieutenant Ingram, who's clearly got my best interests at heart, has been sending me. Because I'm sure he would never do anything, sketch at all. 17.
You manage now to found kind of signs of him. A couple people have seen him. You can see where he's kind of standing slightly off to the side. Not closer to the pickets, but not not leaving the camp, not abandoning his post or anything, just kind of removed himself slightly.
Ben.
I've forgotten how coats work.
They don't work. They're a
They
lie.
don't.
Coats are
It's like they just lie there doing nothing.
But sometimes they coat your throat.
Yeah, I know. What the heck? All right. I'm sorry, what is Ben doing right now?
I mean, he kind of removed himself. He was slightly however he was feeling at that particular moment, who you are more aware of at the time. And is kind of standing slightly to the side, not quite off camp, but, a little over to the side so that no one theoretically could bother them. But still in public.
All right. And just sort of we'll straighten up a little bit. Sir?
I sort of weave my way over there. I'm glad to see you're all right. Are you all right?
Why wouldn't I be, sir?
I don't know. Got a strange air about you, and there's danger afoot. I'm checking in on you.
Why would you be doing that, sir?
Why wouldn't I? I promised your mother I'd look out for you.
Did you know?
I did. What's going on? Are you not going to do something? You're not going to do something rash, are you?
How often does Perkins seen Valentine? Does Perkins see Valentine regularly? I mean, this was back in the in the village.
I would
But I'm like, what, 10 years older than he is? Maybe a bit?
maybe closer to
15?
15, right? Because you're like, what, 25, almost 30?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know, 16, 17.
Is he 16 going on 17?
He could be innocent and naive.
This
Look,
is what happens when you put a bunch of musical theater nerds together.
it's
in a
true.
place.
This is what happens. It's not my fault. It is my fault, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, he's like 27. He's 27.
Yeah, so he's 27. So you know,
So,
at least 10
how
years
often
older.
would he? Yeah. In other words, how often would he have seen Valentine interacting with his mother?
Oh, when you were a kid? So this was, well, back then it would have been, he would have been 17, right? And you would have been super young. So he helped out a lot around the village, like lifting things, carrying things. So probably like it wouldn't have been infrequent.
Okay, so then he went off to war, and then it was okay. All right, gotcha. Okay.
Like, I mean, he was, a strong kid, right, who lifted things a lot for people in Badger's Drift.
Okay.
And clearly, if he promised to keep you safe, he has spoken to your mother in the interim, right? He doesn't get to go home a lot, but he clearly writes, right? His mother writes him. He, unlike some people, is actually close to his family, and he gets letters back and forth quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm just rereading some notes that I made about Ben a little earlier, just so that I can have this here. Okay. Yes. Good.
Worrisome. It's fine.
Okay. And so yeah, it's just basically
He hasn't been back to England, but he writes.
Yeah. Okay. So what says? And so what was the? I'm sorry. What was the last thing you said to him?
Yeah, I promised your mother, right? I promised your mother I'd look out for you.
When would that have been, sir? We've not. I've not seen you around for some time.
Oh, you mean back home? Badger's Drift? What? I haven't been back in England for quite some time, but my mother writes me, of course. She told me that you were joining the service and that you were coming over this way. And so your mother told my mother that I should look out for you. And you're not going to do anything rash, are you? Have you figured out what's going on?
Yeah.
I know you're going to do something rash. Don't do anything rash. Don't do anything on your own.
Sir, I was thinking perhaps about. I was thinking about perhaps doing something, but perhaps I shouldn't.
Well, you shouldn't do anything on your own, because that's how you get yourself in trouble. So, if you got the clue, you figured something out, you should talk to Sergeant Major Griffiths. He's sort of on the case, or the doctor. So,
What, sir? About what, sir? Was that, sir?
About the horses.
The horses.
Yeah, the horses.
What about the horses, sir?
Well, but also, the explosion that happened. There's some sort of nefariousness afoot. Some villains around.
Well, I don't know nothing about that, sir.
Oh, well, I thought you did. I thought you'd figured it all out. Like, who was trying to kill the doctor? Who's trying to,
Someone's trying to kill the doctor.
Yeah, someone tried to kill the doctor.
And you thought somehow I knew something about it.
I thought you might have figured out.
And that's why you came across here.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that, sir.
Well, because you had a look on your face.
See.
I figured you were about to go off and you figured out who killed the doctor, and then you were going to go and, I don't know, challenge him to a duel or something, or punch him in the face. And but I figured that's probably unwise. You know, if you shouldn't go up, if I can't go up half-cocked, you shouldn't go up half-cocked either. And I just didn't want you to go punch somebody in the face and get in trouble. I was just trying to protect you. Especially if the person's a murderer. Because I figure like, that murderer is probably going to, probably doesn't have a lot of compunction about, doing something bad.
Why would you, with all due respect, sir, why would you need to protect me?
Well, I promised your mother. Also, I mean, not a lot of us from Badger's Drift. It's a pretty small town. Wouldn't want anything to happen to you.
I guess the question is, how sincere does Ben think Valentine is being?
That would be an awareness empathy.
I shall make an awareness empathy roll.
What I love is that clearly Valentine has totally misjudged the situation, like totally misjudged the situation. But that is par for the course for him. 5. It's real good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a solid 5.
Mm-hmm.
What is Lieutenant Valentine's passive deception?
Oh, passive. Oh, my passive deception. Let's see. 4.
I'm assuming it's non-existent. But...
No, you have to have at least 4. That's the
minimum is so.
I have the absolute minimum you could have when it comes to deception. The absolute minimum.
Because you have to have at least 1 dice.
Yeah.
And so with a 5.
I'm so good at deception. You don't even know everybody.
You
I'm so good at it.
are aware that Lieutenant Valentine couldn't lie to save his life, his mother's life, possibly even the king's life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. It's true. Really good at... Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that being the case, Perkins is just going to look kind of confused when you say that, and it's just sort of shaking his head.
Look, we got to stick together. You can't go off and punch somebody that doesn't need punching or without some sort of cover. I mean, look, you're still enlisted, right? And
yes, sir.
They treat enlisted people not so well. I know. So if you figured out who's running around trying to murder people, then you should, you should tell me.
Sir, I don't have any inkling about that. I mean, I suppose that I might have heard folks talking about people maybe needing money, and maybe that might have something to do with something related to that whole situation.
Well, that's interesting. See, because that's the thing I've been trying to work out all this whole time, right? That, I mean, if somebody's going to be doing some sort of nefariousness, then, well, bad stuff. That's probably somebody who needs money. But everybody's talking about, none of them people need money, though. I don't quite understand why they'd think those people would do it when they've got money. So I'm trying to figure it out myself. It's a little bit hard to figure out, who would have done who would have done a thing. So, all right. So who do you think? But then why would you murder somebody? I mean, I suppose if you've been stealing things, then you might want to murder somebody to cover it up, but it seems like a lot.
Actually, Prax, should I make a deception roll here, because he's kind of Perkins is trying to conceal something.
Yep.
Well, when he said that.
Yes, you should.
All right.
I love it when my players do something for me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I think this is probably bluff. As he was withholding information.
Deception, bluff, or deception act, your choice.
Yeah. Okay. They're the same. I guess he's not probably even thinking it through enough to bluff, so we'll say act. Oh, that's a 10.
What? Okay. What is the intrigue defense of Lieutenant Valentine.
Well, look, so here's the thing about intrigue, either doing it or receiving it. Why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you just do that sort of thing when you can just be straightforward and just tell people things and then believe people when they tell you things? 8. my intrigue defense is an 8.
Oh wait, hold on. No, that's actually... Yes. Hold on, I have to check one thing. I think I may have made the wrong call here. I wanted to.
I didn't do it.
No, I think I asked for the wrong.
Oh.
No, your roll was correct, but I think it was the defense is the difference.
Yeah, just for the record, my intrigue defense is an 8, because again, you just take people at their word, don't you think?
Yeah,
I think so. I think you do.
What I need actually is your passive awareness.
Passive awareness is a 12.
12. Okay, yeah.
It's your passive.
Your passive awareness. Here's what it is. Because you haven't done an intrigue with the lie, it goes against the passive a passive awareness. Versus if you were in an intrigue, then it's against your intrigue defense. That was me messing that up. So it would be against his passive awareness. So you are aware that he's not telling you something, but you don't know what.
No, I know exactly what it is. I know what it is.
No, you don't.
Sure I do. You don't want to tell me because you know somebody did something bad and it's somebody important, right? You know who did the assassination attempts or something, clearly. And you're about to go off and try to challenge me to a duel. Which you shouldn't do.
I thought it crossed my mind, I suppose, but no, sir.
Well, you're holding something back. It's not that.
Sorry, sir.
No, it's all right. Come on now. It's just us right here. How can I help you? And also, I don't want to get you in trouble.
And you see that Perkins is starting to boil over a little bit at this point.
I clearly have misunderstood what's going on because
so I think at this point he's just going to blurt out, not being so helpful.
Well,
sir.
I don't understand.
Do you mean what you said about family back there, sir?
Of course. Is your family in trouble? If your family's in trouble, I can do something. Well, I don't know what I can do, but I can try. I mean, what's the good of being a lieutenant if I can't do something to help people from my hometown? Come on.
Mom wanted me to tell you something.
Okay.
But I mean, you've got your life. You don't need all this.
Oh, but hold on now. But come on, let me know what's going on. This is not about the explosion. It's not about the gunpowder.
No, sir.
The poison. The
No,
shooting.
sir.
The stabbing.
Alas, no, sir.
All right. Well then, what's it about?
I mean, you got your position and everything.
Yeah.
And you don't need clingers on, do you?
I don't know
To
what
worry
that means.
about.
Well, I worry about everybody. Come on now. What is it? Ben Perkins, your mother would not want you holding things back from me. So come on now. What's going on?
Oh, she's your mum too, sir.
What do you mean? Your mother's not my mother. Wait, explain that to me. I don't understand.
she was always going on, sir, about how my absent brother was so great and noble. And yet wouldn't say a thing to him because he had his position, which he apparently squandered as he's hard up for cash.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
Sir. Now you're... Actually, I just want to make... I want to double check on something real quick to make sure. Frax, do I have the order correct here?
You have half of... no, it's the other way.
Okay. All right. It is the other way around. All right. Thank you.
It's...
Because
it's,
I was suddenly thinking about that. I was trying to think through the information you provided with me.
yes,
Provided
yes.
me with.
Yes.
Our beards, we are related.
But it's yeah.
Valentine just looks
Want to make
confused.
Sure.
It-
I just want to
it's-
make sure that it's the other way. Okay.
Yes, it's
right.
it's the paternal unit, not the maternal.
It's the paternal unit. Okay. I just wanted to make. Okay. Cool. I had a.
Yep.
So for some reason I constructed a thing in my head that went the other direction, but it's all right. I got it. And so he'll actually have still said, well, in a sense, she wanted to be very. Well, it's not exactly that we have the same mother in flesh, sir.
What?
But she's
I don't understand at all.
was very concerned about you.
Well, she's a good woman.
And apparently our dad thought so as well.
Oh, but we have different dads, though.
No, we don't, sir.
Wait. Wait. But your father's William.
William was the man who raised me.
Are you saying that my father is also your father?
Yes, my mum wanted you to know. And now I've told you, sir, I think I'd better get on with my duties.
Wait.
And Perkins is a little scared at this point, and he's kind of backing away.
Wait a minute, though. Wait, hold on. So, what you're saying is that your dad, cheated on me mother, and with your mother.
I think Mum wanted us to get along.
Oh,
And you're... Sir.
it's all. Well, it's good to have a brother.
Is it, sir?
Of course. Family's family. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to send my father a sternly worded letter, I think.
I think Perkins is just breaking down at this point.
Yeah.
Like
There's awkward hugging, and as the emotional moment pans, we pull the camera back on a scene of a very nicely dressed colonel reclining slightly in his chair, going through the notes of the day. Colonel Fisher is in his own tent. Colonel, I need an awareness notice from you, please, sir. 17. Colonel, you hear the snap of a twig behind you.
Don't die.
The cock of a gun. What would you like to do? You're muted.
Can he draw his own gun and fire at the shadow that's behind him?
Yes. It's
Scratch that. Can he use his sword? I just looked at his marksmanship and I'm like, maybe not.
I mean, the sword is going to be, might be slightly better. Yes, I will let you change the weapon. Have the sword sitting on the, lying on the desk next to you.
Yeah.
You see the shadow through the tent wall. Roll your fighting fencing.
I'm going to use my last bonus dice for this too. Just, insurance.
Cool. Oof, 22.
Ooh.
Roll me those 3d6. Describe how you dispatch the villain in shadow, Colonel Fisher. The silhouette through the tent wall. It's backlit just slightly.
Yeah, so this isn't the first time that Colonel Fisher has had to deal with a potential assassination, and he was a little miffed that someone would try to do something like this at this time of the day and try to do it with a pistol. So, being the kind of man that he is, he did have his sword in hand, and he would just sort of swing out of his chair, grab his sword in mid-turn, and really twist his body in the opposite direction so that he could get maximum force into the thrust through the tent material and then through the person with the pistol.
And as you do, we pull the camera back just as you pull the sword out of the body and it falls, and the camera pulls back and up, and you see just slightly off to the side and down, we see this moment between Lieutenant Valentine and Ben Perkins. We see Priscilla Quibble making her way back to the tent, very nonchalantly prepared to have tea with the doctor. And the camera goes dark, and that's where we're gonna end it for tonight.
My.
So, how are we all doing? Are we okay?
There was a reveal there that I thought was very shocking, but been waiting for something like that to drop in this game.
I will also note, I put it in chat, that Valentine did not go for there were some clearly obvious things that he should have asked, but he just kind of goes directly for oh, you're my brother. Okay. He should have probably asked what do you mean? There is clearly some anger and other stuff going on, but Valentine didn't pick up on that. He misunderstood. He was thinking about, oh yeah, so he just wasn't thinking about there's clearly something going on there with Perkins. Perkins has heard something or believes something. There's something going on, but Valentine would not have picked up on that because he's sort of caught up in this sort of other thought, and he often just thinks he tends to think everybody's fine in certain ways. And so he should have asked certain questions, but I knew he wouldn't have. He would have been like, that must, like, you must have been just upset because you didn't tell me. Oh, like, okay, maybe, like, he just doesn't know. And I don't think he would have asked because his, like, I was like, oh, I need to comfort Perkins. You know what I mean? Like, and would not have asked about the very clearly big red flags that were flying. Because again, he's not, his cunning is too.
He's there. He's there. Jim is muted.
He was trying so hard to hate you, and you had to be so decent.
Oh, he did not pick up that you would want to attack him in any way. He just would never assume that. He would never assume that you would want to hit him at all, ever. That makes no sense. So if you did want to hit him, you totally could, and he would be totally blindsided by it, because that is just not where his mind is at, like, ever.
He was just trying to be full of hate, but it just. And
he was like, oh. Poor Perkins is going to go and sacrifice himself, like, in an unwise way. I've got to save him. That's what I have to do.
So we have the emotional moment between Ben Perkins and Henry Valentine. We had a clever conversation between Mrs. Priscilla Quibble and the good doctor. We had Cleveland Griffiths becoming an inheritor of a reasonable-sized estate. One might even say a gentleman of £5,000 a year.
Ooh. I feel like there's an importance of being earnest here, and I just feel like, again, Valentine can come up with theories about what's going on. Some of them may not be relevant to reality, but, you're fancy. Clearly there's a plot to assassinate a noble. I don't know.
And
Griffiths.
We also found out that the doctor will actually keep Priscilla Quibble away from her brother, at least for now.
Yes, but he doesn't keep himself away from her, though.
Yes, he fell on that particular sword.
Okay, but now that we have seen a little bit of the behind the scenes and some of the drama that's still building, I want you to understand.
And the undelivered letter, they're just,
Oh, and a dead body who you don't know who it is yet. Hey, we're gonna go around, let you all say who you are, where we can find you, all the fabulous fun stuff you get to do online. Also, why don't you share something you enjoyed or are looking forward to? Either one. Plot. Give me plots. Not that I don't have plenty and I still have like shit tons of notes, but I want to hear all the juicy details. But we're going to start in the same order we went around. So, hey, Anino.
How's it going? My name's Anino. You can find me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. I think that does it for streams for me this week. Next Wednesday is the finale of Kanya, a all POC TTRPG campaign set in the world of Sarzamine, which is a world created by which name should I use for them?
Is it Cher?
Well, anyway, it's hosted on Utopia, and you should tune into that because if you thought that there was a lot of drama in this show, the party is about to crash a wedding.
Nice. Are they invited?
No.
Will everyone be happy to see them?
No, because they are there to expose the dirty, dirty secrets of a criminal family.
Oh. Okay. In the middle of a wedding. Nice.
In the middle of the wedding.
Yep.
Yes. And
that sounds dramatic.
There's also going to be a lot of truths that are discovered about a certain tea farmer and the reasons why he ran away from his family, which, are very similar to what we're seeing here.
Ooh.
So you can turn into that. The next Friday is Cyberpunk Red. And then next Saturday is another edition of Scion over on the Level Up Dice channel. Yeah, I guess you could follow me on Twitter. That's where I post about new art that's coming out for Cyberpunk Red that I decided to do. It's about 20 new pieces out there that are going to show themselves eventually, as well as some additional flash fiction that is coming up. So yeah, keep up with everything there.
Yes, definitely keep up. Definitely keep up with the flash fiction that Nino wonderfully writes for our game. Little in between scenes, some great little pieces coming out of there, which is great. Also, he posted 2 of those pieces of art earlier today. They are fabulous. I want you to understand when the rocker boy creates an alternative identity as Justice Mime. There had to be art of this, and there is art out. There is now art on Anino's timeline of Justice Mime, and you need to see this. I'm
looking it up right now. That's what I'm doing. Right now, I'm looking it up.
Someone should be nice and maybe pop it in chat. Right? That's gonna be my subtle hint. But then, yes, and then we will see you next week, and we'll see who the other things and drama is gonna happen.
Wait, we can't go yet. I just found it.
You need to just pop it in chat. Just drop it in chat.
I'm getting the link.
Oh, that's good.
Link, copy the link. Okay. Wait, there.
That's too good.
Yeah.
All respect for Justice Mime. But next up, the wonderful, the fabulous, hey Jim. I am not at all surprised that they were encouraging you to talk to yourself today, but you did manage to avoid it.
It came so close.
Hey
Just
Jim.
missed him.
Hey Jim.
Hi.
Did you ever watch the movie 9 to 5? You know, with Dolly Parton?
Yeah, a while back. Yeah.
Yeah. And Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. And do you remember the part how they had Dabney Coleman sort of kidnapped and tied up in the part, and they always just kept thinking, oh, you just missed him. Just. So I feel like that's like you are in some ways also Dolly Parton, just directing people to miss Dabney Coleman. I feel like that's what's going on.
Just missed him. That's unfortunate. Awesome. No, this was a delight this evening. But let's see. Before I talk about stuff, I will talk about my various stuffs. Get that out of the way. I am Jim. I am OtherDoc on both Twitch and Twitter. And my website is jimmy@jim.com, where I sometimes post game signups, which once again soon, hopefully, still slowly getting everything together. And probably more stuff happening in December. So look for that in the various social medias and what have you. And as far as this goes, so yeah, I somehow in the way that Perkins's description was given to me, somehow my brain linked it to the other to the other parent for some reason, but then it righted itself. Fine. Well, it didn't write itself. Prax righted it for me, so my apologies for not making that moment as dramatic as I could have by not asking that question. But I felt clarity might be of help at that point. But yeah, no, I loved this game, the game this evening. Sometimes you do a lot of there was a lot of intense chatting. But I think this was stuff we needed to pass around and figure out. And I think we're figuring out what's happening somehow, possibly. So
some of us are.
That's good. We've got, it's episode 7, so hopefully we're figuring some of it out. And I was really, I think the couple of standouts for me this episode. One was the Quibble conversation. That was a delight.
I'm really excited to know that the doctor's madly in love with Quibble, and that's clearly what's going on around. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
He also I also liked I just really liked when we found out what Griffiths had been doing for the last several hours. at that and having his special nurse there. That was a delight also. And that was very cool. And stuff I'm hoping for, I guess, I think we're probably at some point soon, in one way or another, maybe we're going to see more about, I feel as though there's a chance one thing I'm looking forward to sorting out the thing with Quibble to sort of determine if she is friend or foe, finally, hopefully, once and for all.
She is the best. Does that not answer the question? But that is the answer.
No, it doesn't.
I feel we need to ask the question. Sergeant Griffiths, is Priscilla friend or foe?
I wanted to say at first that at the start of everything that she was probably a frenemy. But no, she's definitely a foe now because her interests are very much in conflict with her brothers.
I really don't understand why you think that. I feel like they get along so well.
It's fair.
I did forget to talk about what I'm looking forward to. Is I'm looking forward to Pomeroy and Bisley hashing out a really, really important conflict in their broship.
Yep. That is a conversation that will definitely be happening next week when we have our dear captain back. Because, I want to see what happens. But
the only other thing I just wanted to insert briefly is that because I decided to cheat and add a second thing that I'm possibly looking forward to.
Go right ahead.
Because I feel we're getting to the point, as finally someone has started asking questions about Spaulding's fidelity. I feel as though we might be at a point in the story soon, and I don't know whether this is going to be the case or not. But we might finally be at a point in the story soon where we might find out a little bit more about his connection to Doña Caterina. And
I have questions.
A little bit more about her, possibly. We'll see.
I have questions.
There's so many things we might find out.
Yeah.
Hey, Trooper.
Yes. The only thing is this, right? That Valentine would not ask those questions because he's a simple dude, right? And he just let me put it this way. If, for example, Dr. Spaulding clearly has got something else going on in his life. There's clearly something going else, and Valentine is not going to notice that until it slaps him in the face. It's gonna if Valentine walked in into the scandal alcove and you were changing out of your Scarlet Pimpernel outfit back into your other outfit, I think it would take him a really long time to figure out what was going on. I think he'd be just oh, huh? I just feel like you have to really, you have to be very upfront for him to figure those things out. So I just feel like you could be in your Scarlet Pimpernel outfit and he still wouldn't get it. So he's not able to ask those questions, but he might stumble upon them somehow. But I want to know so badly. I'm just saying I have questions I want to know. I want to know how I'm going to introduce myself, but I have to go through what I want to know first. I want to know how that medical exam is going to go with Ingram, because I am very suspicious. Valentine is less so, but I am. And I'm like, here, medical exam. I'm excited for that one. I'm excited to find out a little bit more about our suspiciousness, our mysterious doctor. I want to know if Griffiths is going to go and, take on the mantle of lordship and have a great time with it, or not. I really want to find out. You're interested in Pomeroy and Bisley. I want to see Mr. and Mrs. Bisley have a conversation. I am waiting for that one hardcore so much right now.
I feel like that would be a triple conversation, actually. Pomeroy and the Bisleys.
Pomeroy and the Bisleys. I'm living for that conversation happening in the future. I will say that Valentine not getting that conversation with Perkins, he was like, oh, Perkins needs money. And And he was like, oh, I'm going to just have to, give Perkins money. I don't have much, but I'll give it to him anyway, right? Because if Perkins needed money, he would give it to him. That's partially how he doesn't have money so much. But, because, anyway. So, yeah, I'm excited for all of it. Does that count? Also,
Yes.
I mean, I was going to say that that I was planning on giving the money to the people who I owe money to, of which it is not an insignificant amount. But now I'm worried about young Perkins and like needing money. Figure out what I can do about that one. I might have a little, I think I have enough to pay my blackmailers, debtors, loan sharks, and also give Perkins some of it. Because what happens is that Valentine just makes sense of the world. He makes sense of the world, and he's like, oh, Perkins is really clearly upset. He must need money. So Valentine just makes up the responses to what's going on for what is the most charitable to the person he's interacting with.
Except when he decides that a woman is an assassin with no valid reason.
There was a valid reason.
Yeah. No.
She emerged from the tent right before it exploded. Mysteriously.
Yes. Hi. Mm-hmm. Move on.
He doesn't know she's a spy or whatever's going on with her. Anyway, I'm Trooper SJP, and so lovely. I am, I'm on the internet. You can find me at Trooper SJP on Twitch, Academic Foxhole on Twitter. It is Saturday. The next time you can see me is on Monday for The North, where I am playing Maester Nymor alongside the amazing Prax. And Nymor is less trusting of people. Let's just say that.
Suspicious.
I think of him as fabulous, is what I think of. I feel like rather than suspicious, I think fabulous, because it's my thoughts. So you can find me on Monday over there over at Encounter Roleplay. And then you can find me at Aether's Walkway on Love Lindy's channel, Laugh Love Lindy's channel at 1 p.m. Eastern for Cypher Systems Aether's Walkway, and then 7 p.m. that Friday night over on my channel for the solo episode, our last solo episode for City of Light and Shadow, a French resistance campaign. And then back here, that's where you can find me.
Yep. All the fun. Everything will be great. I can't wait. But as for me, hey y'all, you know me. I'm at Dirgenon on Twitter, Proxyworth as me4. You see me around here on Twitch. And thank you all for coming. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for enjoying yourselves. Thank you also to my players for playing. I will say we now have there are a couple commands. Number one, we do have a YouTube. I should mention that this thing exists. It's where all the VODs go, including all the VODs of the dramatic readings that we did over the spring and summer, which will probably be coming back in, we might do a couple over the holiday when I have more time as, semester ends. And I can recruit for more of my friends to be, for things when they have more time. But we also have another command for NPCs, which gives you the link to the same document that all of the players have with all of the information that they know about all of these wonderful characters. So much drama, you need to keep it straight, right, people? But you can find me with the wonderful, fabulous Trooper Monday, 3 p.m. Encounter Roleplay.
Nobody's suspicious. Fabulous, not suspicious.
Mm-hmm. I just want to point out that you can take the Martell out of Dorne, but you can't take the Martell out of a Maester.
Look, sometimes you know poisons. I just don't think that's weird. People know poison sometimes.
Moving on. I'm gonna move on. You can find me on Friday with the fabulous, wonderful Anino for Cyberpunk Red. next Friday, and then back here next Saturday as we might have a guest back again. I cannot confirm that yet. That may or may not happen. But we shall see next week, and we shall see what happens with all the drama. And I look forward to hearing all of the theories, thoughts, concerns. But until next time, wonderful people, catch you later.